Across the UK. On DAB+. On YouTube. On your mobile. And on your side. This is Talk.
Well, what do we have here, ladies and gentlemen? Could it be that Lord Mandelson is going to end up in clink? Well, there's a criminal investigation into him now, and not a moment too soon. Where have they been in these intervening years when he was apparently selling state secrets? That, my friends, is pretty serious stuff. Treasonous, in fact. And you've got to ask yourself, they're all going to say, we didn't know. Oh, we didn't know back then. Oh, he didn't know that Jeffrey Epstein was a paedophile and doing all sorts of funny things. No, he didn't know anything about Epstein's connections to anybody. Oh, Starmer didn't know about any of this when he appointed him. Nobody knew anything about anything. Well, OK, if we are to take that at face value, which I don't, but if we were, what a useless bunch of dim-witted ignoramus who are then running the country. Except, of course, they didn't used to call him the Dark Prince for no reason. They knew he has faced the chop before. It was an eyebrow-raising appointment even before we knew all of this stuff. And, of course, the agencies warned Starmer, as they have done over many things. They've warned Starmer of the sort of people who might be crossing the channel in boats. They've warned Starmer about the Chinese mega embassy, indeed about relationships with China. They asked Starmer to clarify whether he regards China as a national security threat. They said to Starmer, it's probably not a good idea to make Lord Mandelson your American ambassador. But he doesn't like what the intelligence agency says, does he? Which is very dangerous, ladies and gentlemen. If we really have a Prime Minister now who just puts his fingers in his ears and goes, la, 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 when MI5 and MI6 are saying, these are matters of national security? Seriously? We can't run a country like that. Prime Ministers have fallen for much less. And we already know there are moves afoot in the Rayner camp to try and oust him. So maybe it's about time we had a little countdown clock in the top of the screen there. How many days until Starmer has to go? Because it would seem to me the writing is now on the wall. But the thing is about these leftists, oh, they're like Teflon, aren't they? They know how to cling on. If you're on the right wing, and even so much as, I don't know, sneeze and don't cover your mouth, it's when are you going to resign? Are you going to resign? But I think that there's a lot more. I think that there's an incredible amount of cronyism in the left of politics because the legacy media just don't lift up the bonnet and have a look at what's going on underneath, do they? Oh no, they salivate, they preen, they praise, and they ignore everything that could condemn their beloved Labour Party. But if they were to ask the right questions of the right people at the right times, imagine all the truth that we would get to enjoy. Shall we have a little listen to what Nigel Farage had to say, because he was holding a press conference earlier today and was asked about Mandelson.
Well, it's always the bloke at the top in the end that has to take responsibility, even if it's not his or her fault. I mean, that's just the way it works in business, in politics. I mean, obviously we don't know what the MI6 report that the Prime Minister received, or did he receive, did he ask for it before the appointment as ambassador to America. We don't know the details of that. But ultimately, I would have thought that the Labour backbenchers, who are moving quite rapidly to the left in terms of their centre of gravity, will be demanding that McSweeney goes within the next few days. Perhaps it'll take a week. And you'll know, as soon as McSweeney goes, that Starmer won't last long afterwards. That would be my take and my judgment. Ultimately, given, as I said a moment ago, of all the previous warnings about Mandelson's behaviour, it is a grave error of judgment on behalf of the Prime Minister. And I think that's inescapable now.
Do you know what? Looking at that video footage there, I'm kind of thinking if Nigel Farage does become Prime Minister, he should do nightly press conferences with that backdrop. That would be great, wouldn't it? We've got some breaking news, which is the response of Conservative leader Kemi Badenoch To the recent news that there's going to be a criminal investigation into Peter Mandelson. She says it is right, there is a full criminal investigation into allegations Lord Peter Mandelson passed market-sensitive information to Jeffrey Epstein, but told broadcasters it should not distract from the fact that the Prime Minister appointed a man who was the close friend and associate of a notorious and convicted paedophile. Let's bring in our international editor, Isabel Oakeshott, to chew over this one. I mean, Isabel, yes, he was friends with a notorious convicted paedophile, as seems to be most people on the A-list of politics and big business, it would seem. Very interesting questions now coming out about Epstein's own connections and allegations, whether he was working on behalf of hostile states. But, yeah, I still think the biggest news story here is the fact that 20 years ago he was essentially selling his country up the river. Who else knew? I don't believe it was only just him. What do you make of all of this?
Well, I think many people will be sort of wondering, why does this really matter today? You know, a lot of this story has rumbled on for a very, very long time. And just when you think that you couldn't possibly have more twists and turns to the Jeffrey Epstein saga, yet more comes out, yet more big household names are drawn into it in the most ugly, sordid kind of way. And on it goes. And some people might be thinking, well, this just was all ages ago. You know, Prince Andrew's kind of lost everything. He's disgraced. He's gone. Peter Mandelson had to resign, you know, from that top job. All these characters, it's all sort of in the past. But where we were at the beginning of this, when you played that clip of Nigel Farage, was about questions of the Prime Minister's judgment, our current Prime Minister's judgment. I always thought that it was an astonishing decision to put Peter Mandelson in that top diplomatic post, probably the most coveted, the most sensitive diplomatic post there is that you can have on behalf of any government and His Majesty. And Keir Starmer chose to appoint Peter Mandelson, a guy that's twice resigned in unbelievable scandals and is just caught up and was known to be caught up with Jeffrey Epstein and accepted the job, as I was saying to Kev earlier, despite knowing that there was a gigantic ticking time bomb under his lectern, but he carried on and did it. And both of them, their misjudgment beggars belief.
What I want to know now is I really want the information about what the intelligence services were saying to the Prime Minister. Because when we have somebody leading the country who is actively ignoring the advice of those people whose job it is to maintain security and integrity of our nation and therefore all of our collective safety, if the Prime Minister is not listening to them or willfully ignoring them, that is beyond an abrogation of duty. That is willful damage, in my opinion.
Well, yes, and I think this is where Gordon Brown's been going with this, isn't it? The former Prime Minister, sort of sworn enemy of Peter Mandelson, lots of scores to be settled there, is essentially saying, look, you know, I flagged up I tried to warn everybody against this idea and no one was really listening to me. And I think this is getting quite dangerous for Keir Starmer, and he's already vulnerable. I'm not sure I'm quite as, I'm not sure if the word is optimistic as Nigel Farage saying that it's going to be a very short time before Keir Starmer has to resign. You know, it's really hard to get rid of Labour leaders unless they want to go. And this one quite clearly does not. But nonetheless, I think it will surely escalate the already broiling discontent within the Labour Parliamentary Party and all that plotting that we knew was going on a week ago before these latest revelations absolutely exploded.
I do think, though, thank goodness America was publishing this information. Thank goodness America was reporting on this information, because when it comes to our own legacy media, let's call them, they don't ask the right questions. They don't dare look into things that could be controversial about the Labour Party. And yet, to me, the list is endless. I'm deeply concerned about the characters involved in negotiating the Chagos Island selling. And what their conflicts of interest might be, and at what position do they have to have such access and reach into the heart of our government. Similarly, the fact that we don't have an elected Attorney General and the back catalogue of the sort of stuff that those barristers were doing when they were barristers, and our own Prime Minister pro bono leading witch hunts against our military. And to me, that's huge. That is so much bigger than whether or not Boris Johnson got a donor to help him afford some blimmin' wallpaper. I don't care. And yet they're all standing outside Number 10. When are you going to resign? When are you going to resign? As if this is the most important news story on planet Earth. Bunga bunga parties, it were not. And yet, when you look at the fact that our Prime Minister spent time in a communist workers' camp the other side of the Iron Curtain, weird. Are we not going to ask questions about that? Why is he so involved and in the pocket of the Chinese Communist Party? Are we not going to ask questions about that? Who are all these barristers that he's been friends with for all these years? We're making decisions seemingly on behalf of the country but against national interests. Are we not going to ask about that? These are massive stories that repeatedly are just being pushed into the shadows, which is why this lot are rattling on for so long. And I think most of the British public now are looking at the Mandelson affair going, is this it? Is this the moment that perhaps our journalistic class wakes up and starts actually holding this government to account?
Right, okay, there was an awful lot there to unpick. I'm just going to focus on one angle of that, which is the Chagos Islands. I disagree with you that the journalist class hasn't done their job on this. You know, right from the start, plenty of commentators, I'm sure your good self included, were saying this is, to me, you know, the words I used were treason. I thought it was treasonous to sell, not actually to sell, to make the British taxpayer cough up billions of pounds to divest a piece of our overseas territory. That struck me as treasonous. But where could we take this argument?
But the thing is, didn't Starmer go over to Mauritius with Philip Sands, who's got potential? You know, there's a lot more questions to ask about those barristers and what they used to do and quite the decisions they're making now and how they seem to be involved with running our country. That's my big concern. Who are these people? Some of them aren't even elected. What are their historic ties? Why have they got direct access to the primary seat of power in this land?
Well, again, I think that the media has actually done a really good job of keeping up the pressure on this with the assistance, of course, of the politicians that have the opposition politicians, not just reform politicians, also Tory politicians and others besides that have really sought to try to block this Chagos surrender from happening. And we know that Nigel Farage has played a critical role in this. You know, the sudden change of heart from the Americans, which came a lot later than most of us thought and hoped it would do, appears to have been triggered by private conversations that Mr. Farage had at the Davos World Economic Forum, which he was very criticised by some for attending, but clearly potentially got an amazing result for the British people out of that decision. So I think that people have done, in the media class and the political class, have done a great job at this. But really what I think that you're probably feeling, and a lot of our listeners are feeling, are just so disempowered. You know, we're stuck with this damn lot. We're stuck with them. You know, many of us almost feel like weeping in despair at the thought of being stuck with these traitors, these incompetents, these paedophile apologists, these appalling, woeful shower of a government. We're stuck with them for 3 years. You know, and all we want to be able to do is get rid of them. And there isn't actually an obvious mechanism to do so. And that goes to the heart of the despair that I think is gripping so much
Well,
of the UK
I think this is why they didn't want a national inquiry into grooming gangs. I wonder how many people associated with the Labour Party might be found to be at least wanting in the role that they played in covering that stuff up. I just think that this government, I'm sorry, I think this government is riddled with compromise and corruption. I just do. I don't think they're just wholly incompetent. I think their intentions and their ideology is frankly dangerous. But I also think some of their personal connections should be questioned. And that's what I'm really frustrated by, because there seem to be a lot of powerful people who are operating in the shadows with a lot of leeway over decisions the Prime Minister seems to be taking. Again, you know, who was really calling the shots on the appointment of Mandelson? Was that Sir Keir Starmer's bright idea? Or did he have a bit of a Chinese burn before he made that appointment? I don't know. But I just think that there is a thread now emerging that we need to carry on pulling, because I think there's going to be more people on the end of that thread.
Well, I'm all in favour of picking away at these things and trying to find new angles and more to say. And, you know, none of us could have imagined, those of us that just are appalled really by hard left ideology, and thought that perhaps Starmer might be a bit less bad, a bit less worse than Jeremy Corbyn. None of us could imagine how absolutely awful it would be and how much there would be to go at. You know, how long ago does it feel that we were talking about Lord Ali? Everyone's forgotten him now because there's so many characters in this absolutely ludicrous and terrible and actually terrifying drama that people like Lord Ali have almost faded into the background. They've gone back behind the curtains as new villains have come to the fore of the drama.
No, indeed, and many more villains to keep us all entertained for the best part of the rest of this year, I would imagine. OK, we're going to have to take a short break, but let's try and cheer ourselves up by talking about the Great British Pub, and most specifically how Nigel Farage says he is going to save it. That's coming up after this.
The ripple effect is obviously left behind a 5-year-old without a mother.
He sleeps with a teddy bear with Rhiannon's picture on. He talks about her often. We shouldn't be telling a child of any age that their mother was murdered. If Starmer and his so-called government don't do something, we're not going to have a Britain for all the other women and children that are going through this, and the men too, because there is men being abused, attacked by these illegals. We get this changed in Rhiannon's name, and that's all we can ask for.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Mark's just sent a message going at Alex. Just what was Mandelson up to and what deals did he do while US ambassador? Keir was clearly told by his higher-ups to put Mandy into the gig, perhaps to hide the Chagos giveaway, and who made money from it? That's the sort of question I want answered, Mark. Exactly. And also, the fact that you and I both think that Starmer has higher-ups is quite frightening, isn't it? That's the Prime Minister. He shouldn't be controlled like a little puppet by other people. And yet I always get the distinct impression that perhaps he is. I don't know. Right, let's focus our attention on Reform's launch of their plan to cut taxes to save our pubs in the high street. It needs to be done, that is for sure. They unveiled a 5-point plan after warnings that thousands of pubs are having to close. Let's have a little listen to this plan.
The 5-point plan. I want to go through it briefly. Number 1, reduce VAT to 10% for the hospitality sector. This is something that every single landlord I speak to asks for. This will create a much fairer playing field between hospitality and the supermarkets. Number 2, scrap the employer national insurance increase for hospitality businesses. Rachel Reeves's budget in the autumn of 2024 added £1 billion to the costs of our hospitality industry. Number 3 is simple, cut beer duty by 10%. Number 4, staggered business rates abolition for all pubs over a 4-year period and prioritising venues in most need. Business rates are killing our hospitality industry. The 5th and final point, we have to change regulation, the beer orders, which was introduced in the 1990s. Goodness knows why, because it tied landlords into long-term contracts and now they can barely scrape a living. Now people will ask, how are we going to pay for all this? It's a £3 billion package. And we will pay for it by lifting the 2-child limit for children where parents are British and work full-time.
Well, there we go. It's great to have it clarified how they're going to pay for it, considering I was labouring under the misapprehension that actually Reform announced that they were going to lift the 2-child benefit cap. I think they've made it clear that that's now not going to happen for people who are non-British. All a bit muddled, I think, on some level. I mean, I don't think that was ever made clear before with this lifting the 2-child benefit cap policy in the first place. I don't think anyone was really clear on who that involved and why. But good news, anyway, let's see, for our pubs, which really are suffering gravely at the moment, which rips into the heart of our communities. Let's bring in Isabel. This is a sensible policy, some might say, but what do you make of this clarification? Or is it a clarification? Is it a U-turn when it comes to 2-child benefit cap?
Well, it's not actually new, this clarification. I think that there's an acknowledgement that the way that the policy was initially communicated was quite confusing and muddling, and it was not made clear when Reform, it was quite a long time ago now, I mean, probably a year, maybe more than that, when Reform announced that they were going to lift
It was the Runcorn by-election, wasn't it? It was just before the Runcorn by-election, I recall.
So when it was announced, it was a very counterintuitive policy for a right-of-centre party that is all about shrinking the state and making people less welfare dependent. What was a party like that doing? Suddenly seemingly saying, well, you can have as many children as you like and the state will continue supporting them all. And it took some time for it to become apparent that what the party was really saying was that'll be the case for British nationals who are in work. And I don't think that message got across effectively at the time. Maybe it wasn't even thought of at the time, I can't recall. But in any case, it's seeking to now make that clear, and I think that is now being properly conveyed. It was perhaps slightly muddling the message to talk about that at the same time as the pubs policy today, because the child benefit thing is still pretty controversial.
Yeah, actually saying that, Isabel, we've literally just had breaking news that a new law to scrap the two-child benefit cap has just passed its first Commons hurdle. MPs voted 458 to 104. With a majority, therefore, of 354 at second reading. So I can see, in a way now, that's just come out as news, why this thing was spoken about today in the context of pubs. Carry on, though. Sorry about that. That's just popping up on my screen.
Well, look, I think that the thing that we should really be focusing on today is not the reforms policy on the two-child benefit cap. It is reforms policy on saving pubs, which I think pretty much all of us can agree on. You know, anyone who lives in the countryside in particular sees the devastating effect of the impossibility for many communities of continuing to keep a pub viable. There are lots in the area where I live in the UK, in the Cotswolds, lots of once beautiful village pubs that are now empty. And this is in a very affluent part of the world. And frequently there are sort of community efforts to come together to try to buy the property. The property gets put on the market. People don't want it turned into private houses. And they try to club together, and they still find it really, really difficult to raise the money. Pubs are super important. I'm not saying they're not important in cities. Plenty of people have local pubs that they absolutely adore and mean a lot to them, but they are particularly important in rural areas where they can be one of the only forms of actually sort of tackling loneliness and keeping communities together.
Absolutely, 100%. I firmly agree. They did say that the launch plan was to cut taxes to save our pubs and high street. But it says that they want to eventually abolish business rates for all pubs. They will scrap the employer national insurance increase for hospitality. OK, well, how does that restore the high street, though? Because I went to see my hairdresser the other day. Their business rates have gone from £14,000 a year to £29,000 a year. So actually, I want to know from all of this, as part of their 5-point plan, if they say they're going to save our pubs and the high street, well, where's the small businesses? Where's the shops in this plan?
Well, I'm definitely not here to be a spokesman for the plan because I don't know the answer. What I do know is that too many high streets just look absolutely devastated, don't they? And it is so sad and desolate to see high streets full of boarded up shops, or just boiling down to only a few of the same shops everywhere, just endless Tesco Extras and Sainsbury, whatever the little Sainsbury's are called, Tesco Express, Sainsbury's Extra, I don't know. Too many small supermarkets, too many Costa and Cafe Nero and all of that, and not enough smaller boutique shops able to survive because taxes and rents are so high. And that just reduces quality of life. You know, it hollows out communities. So I'm not an expert on the detail of reforms policy on that. I just know that there needs to be a good one.
There definitely does. There'll be a lot of small business owners who'll look at that headline and be looking for the detail going, but what about me? So I do think that they do need to, in time, make that clear as well. But other news out today, it's all been sort of caught in the mire, quite frankly. But this is about the fact that it looks like North East Somerset may have to brace itself for a by-election. The MP there, Dan Norris, I think I've got that right, haven't I? Has been charged or arrested, I don't know which, I don't have the notes in front of me, to get this, the language very specific, but more allegations made against him. He already had the Labour Party's whip removed. If it looks as though his tenure in Parliament could be coming to an untimely end, given the severity of the allegations against him, interesting seat to contend. This was, of course, Jacob Rees-Mogg's seat before the boundaries got moved around. He lost that to the Labour Party. Looking at the polling now, a bit like Gorton and Denton, could be a three-way race between the Conservatives, Reform and the Labour Party. And I suppose the big question when people are looking at that particular constituency is whether Jacob Rees-Mogg would then go and fight it for turquoise.
Well, I don't believe he would do. I remember having not a private conversation with his wife about this, and I don't think I'm breaching any confidences here. And she just sort of said, Jacob will be Conservative until the day he dies, or words to those effects. And so I don't think that'll happen, although I'm acutely aware that I might be embarrassed by a Jacob Rees-Mogg defection next week, and I've got that quite right. But I don't think he would do that. And I do think that Reform is quite excited by the possibility of that seat. It's been bubbling away in the background as a possibility for quite a long time now. I know that there's been a considerable amount of thinking, non-urgent thinking, about who would be the right candidate for that area, and quite some optimism that Reform could actually take that seat. But remember that just because an MP is even arrested, even if they're charged, it doesn't mean that they are forced to resign their seat. In fact, the rules give MPs a lot of leeway. I think it's all down to whether or not they have a custodial sentence. Are they jailed for more than a certain number of weeks or months? So generally, and I'm afraid this does come up more often than we the voter would like, generally MPs in these situations do the honourable thing and resign, but they can't be assured to do so.
Yeah, let's just clarify this, because I do have the copy now and I wanted to get this right. An independent MP has been arrested for a second time on suspicion of a string of sexual offences. Former Labour MP Dan Norris, 66, remains under investigation over the alleged rape of a woman and has been further arrested on suspicion of raping a second woman, sexually assaulting a third woman, voyeurism and upskirting. So there you go. He seems to have the full house when it comes to sexual offence bingo there. Love the fact that, the BBC leader, an independent MP, former Labour Party MP. Again, all of this was bubbling away when he was told he could go and contest that seat. So again, it calls into question the judgment of the Labour Party. Right, we're going to take a short break now. Whoever does get that seat in North East Somerset better like their cider, is all I can say. Right, what are your thoughts on everything we have been talking about thus far? 03444 99 1000 is the number to call. You can use that number as well to send me a WhatsApp message. Indeed, you can use it to leave me a voice note on WhatsApp. I do rather like those. 8722 is the number to send a text message. If you're going to be old school and use an SMS, you have to write the word talk before you text. If you'd like to give me a ring, Matt will do the vetting and hopefully then transfer some of your calls through to the studio here, where I would be delighted to have your company. It would be a privilege. It's your normal network rate. See? Don't cost you anything to be kind, does it? OK, we're taking a break now, but when we come back, we're going to be talking a lot more about Labour's now success, it seems, in lifting the two-child benefit cap. What does that mean for the country? Who is going to benefit and who's going to pay? We're going to be asking those questions and many more just after this.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there and welcome back. I'm going to ask Isabel a quick question because our wonderful Samara asked a question at the press conference of Reform UK based upon rather snarky comments that were made by Jeremy Clarkson. Let's have a listen to our Samara earlier.
Samara Gill from talkTV.
Jeremy Clarkson, a pub owner, he wrote a very scathing piece in The Sun this weekend saying that reform sounds great until you ask what they actually do beyond stopping the boats. He also said that voters don't know what they're signing up for. So can you name one policy on health, education or transport that would be measurably better after your first year in power, and tell us how voters would notice the difference?
Hello, Jeremy. Here we are. I'll put a copy in the post to you. I've not been to your pub yet. I trust I'm not banned, along with all the Labour MPs. There you are. There you are. And actually, what he's saying is wrong. Wrong. We've been unveiling new names, new faces. We've been unveiling policies for the last 6 or 8 months, actually in considerable quantity. So I can tell you, Jeremy, there's a constructive plan for pubs that also cuts the welfare bill. I'm sure he will approve thoroughly of that. And you can tell him we're working very, very hard on a proper agricultural policy as well. So I think perhaps he'd be reassured. Just spend less time with David Cameron would be my advice.
Funny indeed. Now, Isabel, I must admit, as a journalist, I'm minded to totally agree with Nigel Farage, which is he seems to be popping up, having a press conference on a weekly basis, even during the Christmas period when everyone else was cooling their heels. I actually think Reform have announced more policies than the Labour Party did in the run-up to the actual blimmin' election that they won.
Can you name, let me sort of turn this around and sort of name, let's see if we can name, I don't know, 1 or 2 health or transport or education policies of the Lib Dems, for example.
Oh, that man just spent the whole of the last election on a body of water, so he didn't have to be asked any questions. It's why he was addicted to Lidos and aquarobics and jet skis, so no one got to say to him, so what went on when you were Post Offices Minister, Asa and Davey? But, I mean, Kemi Badenoch's position on policies seems to be to not have any. The Labour Party's position on policies are to be not being asked about them and then start doing a load of things which weren't remotely in the manifesto that nobody has asked for. Things that, given a choice, we would never have voted for, like late-term abortions, euthanasia. I mean, it's just stacking up with the Labour Party. Now we have learnt that basically, having promised in the manifesto the Brexit question is answered, they're going to have fortnightly talks with our mates over in Brussels about a Brexit reset, which, read between the lines, or actually just read the lines, means, well, undoing Brexit, doesn't it?
I'm still quite fixated on Clarkson's completely unreasonable critique there. You know, as if Reform hasn't announced some unbelievably sweeping things. For example, making the most of Brexit, actually delivering the type of Brexit that can be advantageous for our country rather than simply a pretend Brexit that isn't even Brexit in name. It's almost worse than that. There have been all sorts of things, but the bottom line is that whenever you look at pretty much all the fundamental problems that our country faces, they are inextricably linked to the scale of mass migration. And so it's absolutely right that Reform should put mass uncontrolled migration at the heart of its agenda, because until you've tackled that, you're not going to tackle the critical housing shortages, the unbelievable pressure on our failing NHS, the pressure on school places, the disaster that is special educational needs. There's one, Jeremy Clarkson. You clearly weren't listening to not 1 but 2 press conferences that have been held specifically on special educational needs provision. And he asked about education, so there's that. There's also Reform's policy on that VAT on private schools. So when people from the sidelines carp about, oh, this party or that party doesn't have policies, usually in relation to Reform, because that is the insurgent party at the moment, it's generally because they are too busy, and that's me putting it kindly, stroke lazy, to actually listen and follow what has been said.
No, I totally agree. Also, scrapping net zero, one of the most injurious things, especially to farmers.
Brilliant.
All the mad environmental stuff as well. Jeremy Clarkson should be toasting that one with a bottle of Hawksmoor, because a lot of farmers, I think, very much end up coming at the sharp end of policies such as that. Cost of fuel and rewild that field and all that rubbish. And I agree with you. Crime as well. Open door immigration. Everyone getting stabbed every 5 seconds. International criminal cartels running our streets. It's madness. But let's go back to Brussels. Because from what I understand, and again, legacy media, are they talking about it? No, it's just going to happen. It'll just magically happen and we'll discover it one day. Is apparently they're rediscussing a youth mobility programme with the EU. Oh, that sounds nice, doesn't it? Oh, little Camilla, she really wanted to go do a ski season in the Alps as someone who works in a whatever they're called. This is a disaster. Because at the same time, we're sniffing around the EU going, oh, shall we just do freedom of movement for anybody under the age of 30? That means all those characters who Spain's just decided to make into Spanish citizens from Lord knows where, without any documentation, oh, they can come to Britain. Hurrah! On top of that, Brussels is having intense conversations about inviting students from the Middle East and the Maghreb to join the Erasmus scheme. For crying out loud, have we not got enough of them getting into boats, like coming into the country legally? We're now going to say, oh, do you fancy coming to the universities as well? It is crazy town. It's crazy to be talking about these things when immigration is the #1 issue, and here's the Labour Party going on behind the scenes, sneaking around in the corridors of power, wanting to pour more fuel onto the flames.
Yeah, I mean, it was only a few weeks ago that Keir Starmer chose to begin Prime Minister's questions with some announcement about extra refugee, well, it was sort of university special places for Gazan refugees. And I was just like, what? You know, this is Prime Minister's questions. We don't need any more Gazan problems in our country. We've already got quite enough of that as it is. Look, at this point, our problem isn't lack of freedom of movement. It's far too much freedom of movement. You know,
no restricted movement.
Undocumented people swirling around our country. We've no idea. We literally have no idea who is coming or going. And adding more to that, even if they say now that the numbers will be really small, adding more to that is only going to create more problems. We already know there is a massive situation going on with people from all over the world saying that they're coming to the UK to study. They're coming on a short-term basis, and they talk their way in with a little short-term study visa. And they're not actually coming to study in the slightest. They pay for a deposit for their course, never pay the balance, come in, and then apply, and then change their application to...
Yeah, they apply for asylum. They come from Pakistan to do a fake news business studies.
That I'm needing asylum after that. Yeah. Just ridiculous.
It's crazy. But the other thing is, you know, listening to the discussions they're having on a 2-weekly basis, the two main topics they appear to be discussing is #1, open borders. Of course, Europe loves to hear it. But secondly, rejoining the customs union. And I think that an excuse will be made to do this, because that seems to be the direction of travel, that they're desperate to go down. Oh, we're not in the single market. Well, we are in the single markets because we follow all of their rules still. So frankly, we are. The customs union is basically the last thing to fall before we're just back in. And the reason I'm pretty sure this one's going to happen is because there's increasingly demented anti-US rhetoric now coming from some countries in Europe, looking at you, Emmanuel Macron especially. But also, Starmer's got this funny relationship now going on with Australia and Canada. He doesn't seem to do anything, doesn't seem to announce a policy unless either Albanese has done it or Carney is planning on doing it. They seem to be in lockstep, and there's a whole lot of anti-Trumpism coming from both of those as well. And if we end up going back into the customs union, the thing that's the most mad about all of this is we are not subject to the same swinging tariffs that Donald Trump may be putting on the EU because of Brexit. And it seems to me Starmer is all up for solidarity with the Europeans. We need to all be in one big block together, the most failing continent on the surface of planet Earth. He's going to drag us back into it.
I mean, there's one shred of comfort in all of this, which is the worse things get and the more extreme things that this government does, the greater the revolution that will happen when the British voter has the opportunity. Now, I know that there will be some people that have changed their mind, that had voted for Brexit and now have got a different view. But I don't believe that the vast majority of those 17.4 million people who voted for Brexit would not do so again. So if this Prime Minister actually goes out of his way to defy that vote after all the agonies we went through, and I was just reflecting, it is nearly 10 years since the referendum. If he were to do that, I think that the outrage of millions of voters who aren't that obsessed by Brexit either way now would only be fueled, and it will only hasten the condemnation of the Labour Party, the consignment of the Labour Party to a generation out of power, and deservedly so.
I couldn't agree more. Right, let's take our final break of this hour and then rejoin Isabel after these various commercials help subsidise my salary. I need it, by the way, so tolerate them. Perhaps buy some of their products, I don't know. Or instead go pour yourself, that's right, a three-fingered gin. Be my guest. And we're going to be seeing Isabel just on the other side.
The ripple effect is obviously left behind a 5-year-old without a mother.
He sleeps with a teddy bear with Rhiannon's picture on. He talks about her often. We shouldn't be telling a child of any age that their mother was murdered. If Starmer and his so-called government don't do something, we're not going to have a Britain for all the other women and children that are going through this, and the men too, because there is men being abused, attacked by these illegals. We get this changed in Rhiannon's name, and that's all we can ask for.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello and welcome back. Now, as you heard earlier, in its second reading in Parliament, the House of Commons has passed Labour's plan to lift the two-child benefit cap, which apparently will hand £25,000 windfalls to thousands of Britain's biggest jobless families. Now, I tried to do some research into how many of these people who claim these benefits happen to be born in Britain. And we don't have the data on that, but various forms of cross-analysis would suggest, well, a sizable number of those who are having lots of children and aren't in work weren't even born here, which doesn't seem fair. I've also seen analysis where people do the cost breakdown and basically say if you happen to have 3 kids and nobody's working, you have more take-home pay, well, more money to spend, let's say, at the end of every month than 2 families earning £100,000 or more with 3 kids. How does that make sense? Isabel, this is an absolutely grotesque announcement of a policy. When we were told, oh, that Rachel Reeves budget, we've got no money, tough choices are going to have to be made, and she was asked again and again what the state of the economy is. Well, it's going to be very difficult. Oh, we're going to have to raise more taxes, even though we said it was a manifesto promise, we said we wouldn't. Then we found out she's given ourselves a load of fiscal headroom, and apparently the same to a load of people churning out sprogs without a day job.
Well, I'm a little bit frustrated here because I believe those figures are actually available, Alex, on the number of foreign nationals who are benefiting, to use the word, benefiting from the benefit. And these numbers are huge. And that is how reform came to those savings that the party said would be put towards the pubs policy. So the figures are there. Annoyingly, neither Alex nor I have them at our fingertips.
When I tried to make them, I had to cross-tabulate a load of other figures about how many people in social housing. You know, they're not. There's not a website, as far as I can tell, when I look through government statistics, that is, these are how many foreign-born people have, you know, children.
I mean, here's the shocking thing. A lot of this money actually gets sent overseas. It doesn't stay in the UK, you know. And Labour always tugs at the heartstrings and sort of says it's, you know, it's the right thing to do to lift children out of poverty. It should not be for the government to be lifting endless children of feckless parents out of poverty. Those parents need to be encouraged in the most firm possible way to work where they can work to support their own children. Child benefit is a very special thing, and it shouldn't be distributed just to any old person. It is a privilege, and that is why I think, in fact, reform, even if it wasn't communicated brilliantly to begin with, has probably got this spot on. Distribute it to British nationals who are working for a living, not just sitting around.
I always think this whole idea of giving foreigners any sort of welfare is slightly crazy.
Very crazy.
If someone's sort of been living in the country for however many years and is therefore naturalised as a UK citizen, then yes, treat them perhaps the same as UK citizens. But someone who's come over, done a bit of work, doesn't matter if it's 2 years, 3 years, loses their job, well, go home then. You know, I've worked abroad plenty of times, and when I came to the end of my contract, I didn't say, can I have some money now for not doing anything, because I quite fancy staying here.
Well, it's actually much worse than that. There are people who come into our country and pretty much their very first act is to go along to one of the many consultants who make a business out of this and get advice on how to immediately start claiming benefits. This is an industry. I've seen it in constituency levels. I've seen towns where there is a high level of Eastern European, in particular, immigration, and you've got a number of businesses in those towns where they are packed with people who are being told how to basically play the system. This is totally wrong. I don't think my own view is that no foreign nationals should be given benefits. This is nuts. You know, it is a privilege, and it is something that needs to be earned as a result of status as British citizens and as a result of contributing to our economy.
I think it's a bit like car insurance, let's say. You know, everyone pays into the pot in case they have a car accident, and then when you have a car accident, you take from the pot, and if you don't, well, there you go, but it's there in case you do. What you don't do is pay car insurance, and then somebody who's got no car insurance smashes their car, and you have to pay for them to get it repaired. You know, that is how it works. Our ancestors paid it, our parents paid it, we pay it from the moment you start, you know, working when you're 16 years old and are paying a bit of national insurance and upwards. Some people pay more than others, yes, but that is how the system works. That is what a country is, ladies and gentlemen. That is exactly what it is. You are a citizen of somewhere and you are part of that sort of mutually beneficial scheme. You don't get old, you know, Johnson from Rwanda coming in, going like, oh, well, I want some cash money, please. Really? Did your parents contribute? Have you contributed? Do you plan on contributing? It's a madness. And we had all of those absolutely balmy fake welfare payouts to Albanian gangs who are building palaces on the beautiful Albanian coastline based upon tens of thousands of completely made-up profiles of people who are going and withdrawing maximum amounts of universal credit. Our system sucks, doesn't it?
Yep. It totally sucks, and we could learn a lot from the best systems around the world on this.
Yeah, we could learn a lot from America right now, but I wouldn't fancy seeing some of those quite scary organised protests happening. Let's have a listen to voice notes now. This is Darren.
Hi Alex, I was so pleased to hear you mention retail shops, and I can't understand why this is being overlooked. I'm a shop owner and my rates doubled last year and will double again this year to circa £30,000 per annum. And it's a huge overhead for my business alongside the national insurance increase, and other costs have increased over the last 24 months. And the fact it seems to have been overlooked, not just by Labour, but also Reform, is extremely worrying. So the more people that mention it, the better. Thank you.
Oh, well, there you go. Like to be doing my job, Darren. Maybe Iz will have a word with Richard when she gets home. But before I let you go, how are things, do you think, looking up in Gorton and Denton when the Labour Party announced their candidate, who's like, I'm from here, I walk these streets? It's like, dude, no, you're from Greece. We can hear it in your voice, love. I thought a very strange selection of candidates. It seems to me they've just gone, well, meh, we're not going to win this. And I think that when the Green Party announced their plumber as well and didn't go for the obvious Muslim vote choice, I kind of think that it's potentially handed that seat to Reform. Are you, well, I'm not, you're a journalist, so you would be cautiously judgmental over the situation rather than optimistic or pessimistic. How do you see the wind blowing?
What I'm trying to avoid here, Alex, is you having to read out every single candidate, the name of every candidate. But just so that everybody knows, I believe that all the candidates for that constituency are on our website, and there's probably about 12 of them. We don't want to give any an advantage over any other. Look, I think without prejudicing anything, I think we can say that this is a big test for both Labour and Reform in particular, and the outcome will have seismic consequences for whichever is the loser. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, no, it is one of those very interesting sort of midterm by-elections, and possibly another one coming in North East Somerset. Who knows? Isabel, thank you for being a brilliant journalist and also keeping me in check so I'm not fouling up any sort of Ofcom obligations. There we go. Or the candidates of the Gorton and Denton by-election can be learned on our website. Right, let's do a couple of messages before we head into advert breaks. Someone needs to take a look further up the New Labour food chain, says Donna, at Mersey Island. Mersey Island's a beautiful place, great oysters there. Alex, the image of Mandelson standing in those banana slings is truly dark, says John. Oh, it really is. Alex, you were great the other day on Grumpy Old Men. Oh, thank you very much. I was choked to death on that programme. I'm really looking forward to Prime Minister's question time tomorrow, says Phil in Portsmouth. Oh, I should go and get a life. No, I kind of am too. I get you. Good evening, Alex. The country could only hope that this appalling Mandelson scandal brings down the whole rotten Labour government, says Amanda. And someone else's message, what Captain Underpants did next. Keep your thoughts coming in. The numbers on the screen: 0344 499 1000 on WhatsApp, 8722 on text, 0344 499 1000 if you'd like to give Matt a call and register your interest at Talking to Me Live. Back just after this.
across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
There we go. Let's get some music going. Keep that music going, Sam. Play it again, Sam, because I'm going to read out all the candidates in the Gorton and Denton by-election, which is going to take place on the 26th of Feb 2026. Yeah, come on, let's have some rhythm. Yeah, let's go. Alphabetical order, folks. Nick Buckley, Advanced UK. Charlotte Cadden, Conservatives. Dan Clark, Libertarians. Matt Goodwin, Reform UK. Sebastian Moore, SDP. Joseph Amika, Rejoin UK. Rejoin EU. Oh, I don't bloody know. Jackie Piercy, Liberal Dems. Hannah Spencer, Green Party. Angeliki Stoja, Labour Party. Hugo Wills, Communist League. And not to forget, Sir Oinkalot wants to end loonies. Woo! There we go! Let's get the Gorton twist going. There they are. Well, what a comprehensive list of characters. I wish them all the very best, and I hope that at the very least you all get your deposits back. Right! Now we've got our housekeeping out of the way, because you know who's going to call up if I didn't do that. And Isabel quite rightly identified this as a potential problem. Rules, rules, rules. We're so over-regulated in this space. Compliance, Claire will be on the blower. That's right. Matt will be patching through someone to the studio and I'll be getting a dressing down because she'll be sitting at home listening going, that Alex, she's been a very naughty girl. So there you go, Claire. I've done my due diligence. Thank you to Isabel for reminding me. OK, let's get on with the news, shall we? Let's bring in now Norman Brennan, former police officer, director of the Law and Order Foundation and founder of Knives Destroy Lives. Norman, great to have you on the programme. Let's speak, first of all, about this astonishing headline that thousands of criminals may be roaming the streets without ankle tags. Dangerous criminals could be free to commit further crimes when they should be wearing an ankle tag or be remanded in custody. And that is according to the actual police. No, not Sting, the police. Almost 30% of offenders under a court order to wear the tag tracking their movements are not doing so. Those figures have been obtained by the Daily Telegraph. Ankle tags are used to monitor movements and behaviour to enforce curfews. But offenders are either never getting one fitted or removing one. I mean, this just isn't working, is it, Norman, this whole ankle tag stuff?
Well, this isn't news to me at all, Alex. We've got 1,500 officers in the Met short. The Met are really chasing their tail. They're going from 999 call to 999 call, which is called an emergency fire brigade policing. They've got no time to deal with everyday crime, let alone these. And on top of that, when you look at 4,000 gangs in Britain, 200 are in London, that the police haven't got on tag, I can assure you they've got a mammoth task to try and control London police-wise and also the streets of Britain. And these people, don't forget, Alex, have been given a tag as an alternative to custody. So when they don't turn up to have their tags fitted or they've had it on their toes, they're basically taking the piddle out of the criminal justice system because a magistrate or judge has actually allowed them the freedom rather than in custody so long as they wear a tag.
No, I mean, it's just yet another example of the massive failings in law and order. Seems like 2/3 of the prison estates have already been let out early. Those who have been let out or armed in custody because they're supposed to be tagged up and monitored are not being. I mean, it may as well just be the Wild West at this point. Let's talk about this incredibly sad story a year ago. Harvey Wilgoose, who was fatally stabbed by Mohammed Umar Khan, a 15-year-old, after a row between two other boys escalated on social media. Teachers and paramedics at his school, the All Saints Catholic High School in Sheffield, tried their best to save Harvey after the horrifying lunchtime stabbing. It's just, I cannot believe we've got to a stage now where kids are stabbing each other in the playground.
Well, you may well be aware, for the second time, Adam Brooks and myself have set up a Knives Destroy Lives government petition. We launched it at the weekend, and the main part that I put in, and one of the two that are running it, was when did it become right that parents were planning funerals rather than bright futures for their children? In 2001, I posted on social media and predicted that unless we got our act together and Sadiq Khan and the Met got the streets under control, London would have the highest number of stabbing homicides. Hey ho, guess what happened, Alex, in the beginning of December of that year? We had the highest number of child homicide stabbings on record. When I was a serving police officer 30 years ago, I was the first police officer, and I've told you this before, to break from the ranks. I saw what was coming, and what we're talking about tonight, Alex, this is nothing. And I'm sorry I've got no good news. We've got 15 years minimum of hell ahead of us. But getting to the point 30 years ago, in full uniform with homicide families, the families that you're talking about now, children stabbed to death. We went to 10 Downing Street. I told the Prime Minister at the time, which was Tony Blair, and every MP, what we needed to do. How do you think I feel, and I know how you feel, and all the other people listening to this programme, when a serving officer saw what was coming, that is today an epidemic, and stood up from the police ranks and said, Mr. Prime Minister, government, this is what you need to do. And all we do now, Alex, is we do interview after interview. Every day there's another child stabbed to death. In the last 4 days, in Portsmouth, there was a 50-year-old man, life-changing injuries. Guess who was nicked? 6 children aged between the ages of 13 and 16, without wrapping them all through. Even in Chippenham the other day, a 16-year-old child stabbed to death. And who's been arrested? Another 15-year-old child. When did this ever become acceptable in Britain?
Well, no, this is it. The people who decided that stop and search was racist, blood on their hands. The people who were too lily-livered or queasy about going after certain aspects of culture, let's say drill rap, blood on their hands. The people who believe open-door immigration and importing violence and aggression is somehow a good idea, blood on their hands. Because we seem to have replaced any intent to tackle the most egregious forms of crime, which, as you say, costs lives, and increasingly the lives of children. We don't think that that is as important as playing community relations games, which, let me give you a message, anybody who happens to be listening who thinks stop and search is racist, you're actually damaging the very community that you say you're purporting to help. It makes no sense. Norman, if the news is that bad, that we've got 15 years of horror still to come, what can we do about it?
Well, what we can do is recruit 20,000 new police officers. 2,000 of those will be in specialist teams of 250 strong. Every single one public order trained, dog handlers on there. You've got specialist detectives, firearms officers. And what they do, Alex, is they hit every village, town and city. The intelligence from the local police that cover those areas will tell those units who are actually committing crime. The shops will have told them when they're likely to be targeted, when they're targeted, what's stolen, give us the stills. And what we do is these 8 specialist units will target every single area of Britain, so the police officers that we currently have actually do the job that they want. But what we need, Alex, is a criminal justice system that actually works. It's no good the government coming out and saying we're going to crack down on this crime, that crime and the other crime and never doing anything about it. And the caveat about stop and search, you probably would have been told the other day that the government are lauding it's down by 8%. Well, so is stop and search, from 1.5 million to 500,000. If those police officers that I'm talking to you about were on the streets doing stop and searching, I'm telling you knife crime would be up by 100%. And it was Theresa May and Sadiq Khan that about 12, 14 years ago threatened to take the Metropolitan Police to court if they didn't reduce their stop and search. And the final point in that, I'm an expert on that, I was on a robbery squad for 6 of my 31 years, and we didn't go out and stop young black men because we had nothing to do. When our statistics in the robbery squad book and the computers said 68 to 70% of all robberies in London where I believe were committed by young black males. Who is it the public and the communities in those areas expect us to stop? Is it 50% white, 50% black, just to appease the community, or do we follow the stats? Exactly like we taser people. We don't taser the colour, we taser the threat. But it's always those community leaders that are shouty, that put pressure on police chiefs, who then seem to buckle to them, as we saw in West Midlands recently.
No, this is the thing. Statistics should be the leading driver of making important law enforcement decisions, but statistics, when they happen to not be what the left wing wants them to show, are banished. The data's not collected, it's not publicised, FOIs aren't answered because it's not in the public's interest. And it's funny, isn't it, that years and years ago now, because I'm getting on to being an old bird, I went to do my A-level French exchange week at a school just outside of Lille in a town called Bousbec. And that part of France, as it happens, is very multicultural. They had opened the doors to many people in the Maghreb especially. And that school had to have a knife arch. And I just say, you know, let's not beat around the bush. Yes, plenty of people coming from the Maghreb are perfectly nice, wonderful, upstanding members of the community. We know. But also, it seems to be particularly prevalent in high-density, multicultural urban environments that there are more stabbings. And we're not allowed to talk about these things because, that might upset someone. Well, guess what? Unless we talk about those things and how we can tackle this problem, kids are going to die.
Can I tell you the other part about the knife crime very quickly? It's not just about getting the signatures, which we need 100,000 for. We're up to 35,000 in 4 days, which is not bad. We need to get debated in Parliament. What's more importantly, and again, we're almost gone full circle, is that we need mass stop and search. You cannot carry out mass stop and search, Alex, unless you've got the police to do it. We need personal and parental responsibility. Where is the parental responsibility gone? They should be monitoring their children. They listen to their phone calls. They see who their friends are there. And we need a national education programme, and we need mentors. We need people to come forward, particularly in the black community, where predominantly the offenders and the victims are black, to actually give them patriarchal and sort of support, because many fathers have had it on their toes. And the very final point, all the communities, certainly London, the black communities, but always rant and rave and complain about the Met for stop and searching young black suspects. It's predominantly young black men killing other black men. And what do you think the parents of those children say in the mortuary, Alex, to family liaison officers? Their child 4 feet away, lying dead, cold on a slab. Please, please let my child be the last one. I've seen and heard it so many hundreds of times, and every time I see it on the television, I said, I wish I could agree with you, but I just wait for the next day or two to pass, and God forbid another young child, black or white, is laying on a mortuary slab. If we cared enough, Alex, we'd do something about it.
If people want to support you, sign your petition, how might they find it?
They can find it on the government petition list, and also I'm on social media at Norman Brennan, and there's also Adam Brooks at Alan Brooks Media, and just sign it. It's no good saying petitions don't work. I told you it's more than a petition. The thing is, if we all sit on our arse and do sod all, nothing ever happens. If people stand up and say, I listen, I hear your problem, I know the problems. Alex Dad was stabbed to death. I was stabbed in the chest, arresting a burglar. You've got two people that live in the real world. We're not politicians, but we just want children's lives and other people's lives to be safe from knife crime in Britain.
Yeah, an important one it is as well. So I'd urge people to back you in that. Norman, thank you ever so much, and thank you for all that you do. Norman Brennan, brilliant former police officer, director of the Law and Order Foundation, founder of Knives Destroy Lives. Norman has campaigned tirelessly on this subject. And you'd think when it comes to really important stuff, kids being stabbed, we'd declare a national crisis. We'd do everything we can to protect those lives. Not as important as certain politicians being able to shout, waiteth. Right, if you want to throw in your 2-bit and comment on anything that we're talking about today, the floor is yours. We may be doing some calls after this break, so roll up, roll up. 0344 499 1000 is the number to dial. I'd be delighted to speak to some of you. You can also use that number to send me WhatsApp messages, leave me voice notes on WhatsApp, ask me out on a date on WhatsApp. You never know, I might say yes. 8722 is the number if you want to send a text message instead. If you're going to do that, you've got to write the word talk before you text. If you call the 0344 499 1000 number, your normal network rate. And if you text the 8722 number, it's also your standard message cost. So there you go. We're not going to fleece you. We're not going to be taking the coat off your back. We will leave that to Rachel Reeves. OK, some messages before we hit up the advert break. Tell people a word of caution, says Steve in Bromsgrove. What else is happening behind this furore? What is being covered and what is being hidden? Yeah, like I said, I have a feeling there's something funny going on with this Mandelson story. I just think, you know, you keep pulling those strings. It's a bit like a ladder in tights. Yeah? Are they going to be able to get out the old sort of political spin, clear nail varnish to stick on the end and stop it all unravelling? Kind of difficult because they can't control what comes out of America, can they? So, well, we'll wait on tenterhooks to see what next. Alex, Feb 27th, Starmer will be outside number 10 and will resign. Fingers crossed, says Margaret in Birmingham. After Matt Goodwin will be another Reform MP. Starmer never listens to advice and just does his own thing. That's true. An absolute trumping in that by-election. Plus the Mandelson scandal. Plus if they successfully manage to turf out Morgan McSweeney, Starmer's chief of staff. Plus the war chest being built by Angela Rayner. Odds are beginning to stack against him. Right, OK, let's take a little break, but don't you go anywhere because I'm going to be speaking to some of you just after this. Three Fingered Gin. See you soon.
You know, we all think we're worth more, and I do think you should pay nurses more. I do think doctors do deserve a pay rise, and I'm worried this next generation of doctors don't see medicine like that. I worry that they see it as a little bit of a cash cow, and that they're thinking we can just keep voting to strike, which should be a last resort. We are putting people at harm. There is no way these doctors will be striking and not putting the NHS backwards or putting patients at risk.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
All right, pretty, hey? Look at that. The Cape Canaveral's lit up. I feel like I need one of those sort of hello headsets selling you car insurance. Except all of those have now been exported to India, let's be fair. Does anyone in the UK wear those headsets anymore? Is anybody working in a call centre anymore? There must be some of you. I know at least my bank is still based in the UK. Hurrah, get in them. Right, let's speak now to Anne, who is in one of the finest counties of them all, God's own county of Somerset. How are you doing, Anne?
I'm doing very well, thank you. And you're right, it is a wonderful county.
It is a beautiful county. I'm happy to go on a regular basis to sniff out all of the wonderful cider being made there because, it is the best cider in the country. I say that as a Gloucestershire girl as well, which, I'm going to be chased out of Gloucester by people brandishing pitchforks when I go home. But, you just can't beat anything from Shepton Mallet or its environs. That's my personal opinion. They know what they're doing. Now, what is on your mind, Anne?
Well, I've got this theory about Trump and Mandelson, because when Mandelson was made ambassador, it was well known that Trump didn't like Mandelson, but he never objected to him being the ambassador, which he could have done. And I think he knew that these Epstein files were coming out, and all this was going to come out, and it was going to help to bring down our government. And I think that was why he didn't object to it at the beginning. Interesting.
I mean, certainly, I thought there was a load of Americans when Mandelson first got made ambassador, and I was sort of speaking to them going, you do realise that's a very weird choice. But a bit like we don't know much about Americans, so to speak, in their public eye. They don't know much about ours. But there was a lot of delay on all of this, and we do know as well that Trump has sort of suggested that he wants to see some of these left-leaning leaders, that's an understatement and a half, across Europe to fall from grace, to be replaced by people with politics a bit more akin to his own. I wonder, actually, if they sort of thought that... I don't know, actually. At first, I wondered whether they thought there'd be a sense of mutually assured destruction. Oh, well, don't worry about if you've got bodies buried, because we do too. Except, of course, I kind of feel like if there was anything bad about Donald Trump in these files, in these Epstein files, they'd have used it already. They would have used it. I think, to me, it screams of there being a network of extremely powerful, shadowy figures within the Labour Party who are a bit like Rasputin you just can't kill off.
Yeah. I like watching the old Yes Prime Minister and Yes Minister things on the television. And you know what? It's so true to today, isn't it, what goes on? Yeah, no, this is it. You'd think the thick of it was a comedy programme. It's a documentary. But it's true, I think, we've kind of lived this lovely, sheltered existence for so long before the rise of X, before Elon Musk bought X, where we saw the news on the 6 and 10, and we thought, that's what's going on in the world, fine. We didn't question it. There were no alternative versions of events. And how tightly controlled information has always been. That's not to say that there's been corruption or deliberate propaganda, but when the information sources are so limited, it is so much easier for the powers that be to control what gets into the public domain and what doesn't. Then all of a sudden there's been this huge democratising digitation, this explosion of people who are able to share information, and suddenly it becomes a little bit harder to hide those skeletons. We live in interesting times, Anne. Are you in northeast Somerset by any chance? Weston-super-Mare, North Somerset.
I don't know if that isn't part of the constituency that's potentially coming up for grabs, is it? I don't think.
No, they don't.
My mum's cousin, known affectionately as R. Jane, lives in Locking.
Oh yes, that's just down the road from here.
There you go. Well, if you've ever come across a woman with the world's loudest shriek of a laugh called Jane Sharp, we're blood related. But lovely part of the world down there. Anne, thank you ever so much for your call. Let's speak now to Peter, who is in Dorset, getting all the good West Country folk on this evening. That is, Peter, if you consider yourself West Country, I don't ever know what Dorset identifies as, if you will.
Well, I would say that Dorset is a very compassionate and a very sensible, kind place in Britain. I've never experienced the pleasantries from people in general in the way I have experienced life in Dorset. I would like to say that the anger is growing in this country, and it's growing by the day. There isn't a day or a week that goes past whereby the anger in this country is not growing. And this is after the amount of time that this government has been in power. And in 3 years' time, the anger will be quite extraordinary, in my view. Now, one of the greatest problems we've got in this country is migration. People turning up on boats who've thrown their passports in the sea, they don't belong anywhere, and all the rest of it. In my view, Mr. Farage, who I hope will be in power in 3 years' time, right now, in my view, could be organising something equivalent of a home guard. It's something totally different or in league with the police force, but not the police itself, not the army, but people, a group, an organisation which is going to clean this country of all the rubbish. And I'm not talking about racism, I'm not talking about right wing, I'm talking about putting Britain back in its own.
So are you sort of suggesting a bit like a British version of ICE that they have over in America?
I would not want. I want to see something like that, superbly managed, superbly justified, without people turning the thing into an absolute violent mess. We need an organised way of going through society, and if they're not supposed to be here, they're out, and if they are supposed to be here, how are things being managed in this country with them? And we are in a situation whereby you had your previous situation about, sign this petition. The petition, I don't know how many petitions we've signed to change things in this country, going through the government site. You have, I'm afraid, a Prime Minister and a Cabinet who have put their fingers in their ears. They do not hear a single word that we are saying. And as a result...
Oh, no, I think it's worse than that. I think they hear exactly what you're saying, completely disagree with it, and then go on to just call you far-right instead. I think it's worse than not listening. I think they're listening full and well and deciding to not just ignore, but to attack. Listen, Peter, thank you ever so much. It is great to hear how wonderful and kind and friendly the people of Dorset are. I must make it my business to go down there as soon as the weather improves. OK, keep your messages coming in. Alex, I can't see anything more embarrassing coming out of number 10 than Mandelson's white underpants. Really? You don't have much imagination then, because I think there's a lot more things that are going to come out. Oh, yes, I think there are. 3.4 million non-British people claim benefits. That's 40% of all benefits, which is insane, says Matt in Shrewsbury. I want my country back. I'm mid-40s, but I feel old. It's these fools in charge literally draining my soul away. I hear you. I feel old as well. Maybe we are just old. Joanna in Salisbury says, hi, Alex. It's time to take France to task. Their finance figures are out and they're in a terrible state. Over-taxation and a bloated state. Stop the boats and the illegal crossings into our country, or no produce bought and no fishing. France's farmers and fishermen will stop the French government ignoring UK's problems when it becomes theirs. This is the thing. If we wanted to stop these crises, there were 1,000 ways we could have done. So I just think the government doesn't want to. And like I said earlier on, they're now negotiating with the EU to bring back freedom of movement. Oh, for the under-30s, youth mobilisation is what they're calling it. And the government said, yes, we'll allow that, but it's got to have a cap. And the EU's going, no cap. Oh, no, but it's got to have a cap. No cap. Which means that there won't be a cap. And that means that 500,000 randos that Pedro Sanchez in Spain has just said can stay despite breaking in illegally, despite being undocumented migrants. Well, that's it. If they suddenly get their little passports or identity cards from Spain and they're all under 30, which, they are, oh, you know where they're going to come, don't you? That's right. They're moving into your street soon. You can't wait, can you? Right, keep your thoughts coming in. 03444991000 is the number to call. It's your normal network rate. You can use that number as well to send me a WhatsApp message, or indeed leave me a voice note on WhatsApp with your dulcet, sultry tones. 8722 is the number if you would like to send me a text message. Write the word talk before you send a text. OK, going to take a short break now, but don't go anywhere. We've got some interesting, zippy little numbers coming up in the last half hour. And then, I know, you've been waiting for this ever since that weird mayhem of a programme. It was a week ago when Paul Cox and I sat in here laughing our little socks off, didn't we? Well, Weird Hour with Paul Cox is coming up as well at 9 o'clock. I know, that's it. You're going to need a four-fingered gin and tonic for that one, aren't you? So go on, better go. Tell him to go get some more tonic water. Slimline, please. You're on a diet. You still haven't got rid of the Christmas timber. OK, see you just after this.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Now, I've read some funny old headlines in my time. Read some funny old headlines this week. But this one, I actually just had to ask Chris, who's producing me, because Dean's no doubt on the Raz somewhere. No, Dean's off to see Peter Blex's live show. That's correct. That's why he's skiving off work tonight. I said to Chris, is this a thing? Really? He's like, yeah. The Tories have invited Sharon Osbourne to stand as their candidate in Birmingham's upcoming local elections against a convicted terrorist. This is, of course, old Shahid Butt, who said some pretty choice things in his times past and handed a 5-year sentence on terrorism charges as well, after plotting to blow up the British consulate, an Anglican church and a hotel in Yemen. Oh, what a lovely man. Oh, of course, yeah, that's right. We need him in local government. Anyway, Sharon Osbourne, wife of the late Ozzy Osbourne, said she would move to Birmingham and run in the ballot for the inner city Sparkhill ward to prevent him from gaining a council seat. Really? She wants to move to inner city Sparkhill and be a local councillor? Wow. I wouldn't say no, would you? Let's speak now to Councillor Ken Wood, who's Deputy Lord Mayor for the Conservatives. Ken, great to have you on the programme. I mean, never before has a local election competition looked so interesting, quite frankly.
I think what it does demonstrate very clearly is Sharon's love for the city. I mean, certainly as Lord Mayor and as Deputy Lord Mayor, having met Sharon, that love of the city just oozes from her. I had the privilege of presenting her with Ozzy's Lord Mayor's Awards earlier on this year, And it doesn't just ooze from Shan, but it oozes from all of the family. The love for Birmingham is unbelievable, and certainly from our point of view, to have our talent join us on the council would be absolutely phenomenal. And when you compare the difference, the difference between us trying to attract talent, people who can actually help us put Birmingham back on the map for the right reasons, rather than for all the wrong reasons, I would welcome it with open arms.
I mean, wrong reasons, like that utterly disgraceful news, the revelations that the Chief of Police of West Midlands was basically in the pockets of some of the community leaders in the Aston ward in particular, taking command from them, it seems, over whether Jewish footballers can go and watch their team playing Aston Villa. And not just that, it seems they made that decision because these Jewish footballers would have had their lives risked. They'd have been beaten up by a Muslim mob. So how sectarian is politics in Birmingham? How long have you been serving as a councillor, and have you seen huge changes to the way people are being elected and the way they're managing local affairs?
Obviously, I can't comment on how the other parties choose their candidates, and I wouldn't dream to do that. I think what we are seeing is I don't think it's sectarianism or extremes, like it's just differences of opinion that are being brought to bear. I mean, the thing with the Chief of Police, there's obviously still inquiries going on about that. What happened in the banning of the fans, I completely and utterly disagreed with it at the time. I think it was the wrong decision. It was an abhorrent decision. It created problems. And what I've found, again, is Lord Mayor going round the city. The city is a very, very friendly city, and we do not need headlines either locally or internationally that try and make it out to be anything else.
Yeah, it does. It does worry me. I mean, when I look at some of the demographics of parts of Birmingham, and when I hear of stories like that, and then I see Shahid Butt wanting to stand, it does make me deeply concerned indeed.
But what you've got to bear in mind that in Birmingham we've got over 100 different nationalities, over 200 nationalities speaking basically 100 different languages, and it's a wonderful, wonderful melting pot, Birmingham. And I just do wish that people would stop giving us the headlines, and I dare say that the politicians don't help in giving us the headlines that we do not want and that are basically unwelcome. And that's why we would certainly welcome somebody like Sharon on our side of the chamber, with her talent, her international contacts, etc., etc. It'd be wonderful for the city.
Well, this is what she might be up against. Let's watch a clip now. Shahid Butt talking about the Birmingham local election on TikTok.
With the help of Allah, with your support, and with these guys behind me, I know we're going to take this, inshallah. Inshallah.
Remember that. Remember that. I really find that guy comical. I shouldn't, because he's not funny at all. Ahmed Yaqub, who's founded the Independent Candidate Alliance. That sounds innocuous. I bet it isn't. Ken, thank you ever so much for joining me. Councillor Ken Wood there saying to Sharon Osborne, come on, put your money where your mouth is. Do it, girl. We'd welcome you. I certainly think it would make local elections a little bit more spicy. Right, what are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on everything? Where are my marriage proposals? I'm waiting. 03444991000 is the number to send me a WhatsApp message, or indeed to leave me a voice note on WhatsApp. 87222 is the number if you would like to send me a text message. Right, the word talk before you text. Before we go to break, let's have a chat now with Gareth, who is in Manchester. Hello, Gareth.
Hello.
Hi, what's on your mind, my dear?
Everything, really. I mean...
It's like going to the doctor with 1,000 symptoms. Pick one.
Yeah, right, the country's screwed. We need to get rid of this Keir Starmer fella, right? As a patriot of Gorton, right, we're quite in the news at the moment, Denton and Gorton, like all these political people looking for voters. Nobody's knocked my door so far.
Oh, really?
Yeah, not one. Not one. I've seen one of them walk past my door, right? Yeah. Because I've got a flag in my window saying, lest we forget.
Oh, and you think whichever sort of rosette they might be wearing, they didn't knock your door because of that?
Yes.
Wow.
Exactly. Green Party.
Oh. Am I going to have to do the list again, Chris? Do I have to do the list? Nah, there are other parties compete. Oh, we're doing the list. Hold on, Sam, can I have the music again? We got to sort of... Can we want jazzier music as well to do this? OK, here we go. Nick Buckley, Advance UK. Charlotte Cadden, Conservative Party. Dan Clark, Libertarian Party. Matt Goodwin, Reform UK. Sebastian Moore, SDP. Joseph Omicha, Rejoin EU. Jackie Piercy, Liberal Democrats. Hannah Spencer, Green Party. Angeliki Stogia, Labour Party. Hugo Wills, Communist League. Sir Oinkalot! Monster Raving Looney Party. There we go. Done the list. Thank you, Gareth, for setting me up on that one. Thank you ever so much, Gareth, for your call. What do you want to talk about? Everything. I've got everything on my mind. Oh, OK, great. Let's see if we can fix it in 2 minutes, shall we? Anyway, brilliant callers, as per usual. Why don't you join them? 03444 99 1000 is the number. It's your normal network rate. You can send me a WhatsApp on that number as well. If you want to send a text, it's 87222. There's nothing in my little presenter message bin to read out. So there you go. We'll have to do some of those a bit later. Someone's not doing their job behind that glass. Who am I going to... Whose ear am I coming in to yank? Oh, yeah, you. Right, I knew it was, Chris. Right, chop then, son. You got an advert break to fill up my little bin here. And why don't you make his job even more interesting by flooding him with text messages right now? 87222 is the number if you want to text, like do a top free text 03444991000 on WhatsApp. Righto. Strap yourselves in. 4-fingered gin. Oh, that's 4. There we go. 4-fingered gin. It's going to be a sort of like, you know, double whammy 10 digits gin by the end of it, which is basically a pint. We're joined by the gorgeous, brilliant, hilarious, charismatic and wonderful Kinsey Schofield just after this.
You know, we all think we're worth more, and I do think you should pay nurses more. I do think doctors do deserve a pay rise, and I'm worried this next generation of doctors don't see medicine like that. I worry that they see it as a little bit of a cash cow, and that they're thinking we can just keep voting to strike, which should be a last resort. We are putting people at harm. There is no way these doctors will be striking and not putting the NHS backwards or putting patients at risk.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello and welcome back to the show. Let's speak now to the one and only Kinsey Schofield. Oh, she's not here yet. I think, actually, to be fair, Chris said that in my ear and I was distracted, so I was only half listening. I'm sorry, it's like I've got different frequencies inside my head, and sometimes I just turn off the little... Yeah, I know. That's what's going on here. We've got to do some calls, though. Oh, look, James has said, please can I ask you out for a date? Or producers, please shortlist me. This isn't going to be some on-air competition. I mean, it could be. We could do with the extra cash money. I'm 48, OK, South Midlands. Where's South Midlands? Yeah, that's a bit unspecific, isn't it? Where in the South Midlands? I'm obs male. Or maybe not obs nowadays. Don't know what you mean by that. I definitely am interested in the menfolk. Very sane, everything in order, and I'm definitely everything talk. Well, there you go. My one and only offer. How can I refuse? What happened to Three-Finger Gin? My God, Alex, it's just February. Well, that's especially. It's dark. It's rainy. Have you not seen what's going on outside? That's it. Do you know, I'm going to upgrade Four-Finger Gin. That actually comes from, Chris was asking me earlier, what's all this Three-Finger Gin thing? I nicked it from Nigel Farage. It's something that he said to me once. We're talking about gin and tonics, and he said, if you're going to have a gin and tonic, it should always measure at least 3 fingers of gin in the bottom of the glass without ice cubes. So then it just became known as the Three-Finger Gin. So there you are. That is the provenance of that particular little element of the lexicon. Let's speak now to Mark in Lincolnshire. Hello, Mark.
Hi there, Alex.
Hello, how are you?
Hiya. Yeah, not so bad. It's your favourite nationalist on the phone.
Hey!
Yeah, it's just listening to some of the conversations you've been having this evening, especially with the callers. It's, you know, I get quite a lot of frustration when I listen to the show and what have you, because a lot of the stuff that people want to talk about is, it's obviously about the illegal migration, and I understand that. It's very visible. But I do feel it's somewhat of a distraction. You know, point your gears over here at this visible thing, never mind what's been happening in the background for the last 10 years, 15 years, you know, especially over Boris.
So what sort of things? What sort of things do you think are we having hidden from us? Are we being distracted from?
Well, the ultimate thing that we're distracted from is what's going to happen in 15 years, 20 years, and then 30, 40, 50 years. You know, and this is my problem, you see, because when I hear a lot of people talk about immigration and stuff, they always talk about, you know, the illegal migrants, you know, we must stop them. And it's a very reformed Tory position to hold, I think, because we must stop illegal migrants. Well, that's a no-brainer, okay? So we stop them, and then I was kind of like left thinking, and then what?
Right.
Because you're not actually fixing the real problem here.
But if you then sorted out legal migration, let's say, and you had a massive crackdown on that.
If you had a massive crackdown on that, because I've done some of the numbers in the past on this. Even under reform, if they were to stick with, by the way, it's something they haven't really spoken about a lot recently, I've noticed as well, this net zero immigration that they keep talking about, that's not really fixing anything, is it? Because what that's actually doing is you still lose a significant amount of your own people, the ones that leave the country, a significant proportion of them will be the British people, if you know what I mean by that from a nationalist point of view.
Yeah, so 400 people emigrate and go off to Australia or Dubai or whatnot, and that would mean if you're going to have net zero immigration, you'd have to still import 400,000 people from other countries.
Yeah, this is the point, Alex, because when you're doing that, what you're actually doing, because you've also got to factor in the birth rates, you've got to factor in the fact that even reform, none of these parties have ever once, as far as I can remember, and I'm 51 now, as far as I can remember, I don't recall any party ever coming up with a plan to do something about the native birth rate.
Well, some might say that when Nigel Farage proposed to lift the 2-child benefits cap for British working families, it was a pro-natalist policy. Mark, I'm going to love you and leave you there, my favourite nationalist, because my favourite American is ready to have a talk with us and let us know all the gossip going on the other side of the pond. It's the gorgeous and brilliant Kinsey Schofield. How you doing, Kins?
Hi, Alex. So good to see you.
You always look so perfect. Look at you. You're like a picture of a goddess on my screen. No. How is it, as much news about this Mandelson stuff hit the American headlines? So, of course, it's the big leading story over here, but I'm guessing now he's no longer the ambassador to America. What he might have done 20 years ago with Jeffrey Epstein is probably not of great importance to America, or is it?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that our fixation here is on the Epstein files is an anti-Trump narrative. You're really seeing people take off with here's a picture of Trump with Epstein here. And I think that that's incredibly unfair, I should stress. Just because somebody is listed does not mean that they are guilty of anything. And the attorney, I believe it's the Deputy Attorney General, stated that none of Epstein's communications criminally implicate President Trump. Though the documents do reveal that Epstein and Ghislaine strategized in 2011 on how to handle an accuser who had worked at Mar-a-Lago, any accusations that are mentioned, that the follow-up is that they don't believe them to be true. And according to the White House, some of the documents contain straight up untrue and sensationalized claims against the president that they believe were submitted to the FBI right before the 2020 election, I imagine, to try to sabotage that for him.
Wow. I mean, that's big information. We've not been talking about that over here, because I have noticed that whenever people say, oh, well, Donald Trump's come up in those files time and time again, it's always some sort of prosecutor alluding to him or mentioning his name and not much else, therefore sort of inculcating him. It's a bit like saying, oh, well, shall we list all the most corrupt people in America? What about Kinsey Schofield? What about Kinsey Schofield? Oh, look, Kinsey Schofield's name appears in here more than once. It does seem to me like a bit of a setup, and I do think if there had been anything, any sort of smoking gun, even the hint of one particle of smoke connecting Donald Trump to Jeffrey Epstein, they would have gone mad with it already. It would be everywhere.
Absolutely. And the Department of Justice said in a statement that the claims are unfounded and false about Trump within these files. And if they have or had a shred of credibility, they certainly would have been weaponized against President Trump already. And through other communication throughout the Epstein files, we saw how bitter and resentful Epstein was when someone cut him off. Just look at the Bill Gates email that he puts together, which is just scorched earth. He is going to destroy Bill Gates because Bill Gates is distancing himself from him. And I think there was a similar fallout with Trump. I think that, when you cross Jeffrey Epstein, I mean, even Fergie tells us this today, if you cross Jeffrey Epstein, his goal is to destroy you.
Well, I mean, what about all of this? There's been some sensational bits of news connected to these Epstein files, and there's so much to go through. But first of all, is there much discussion in America about whether or not he was a Russian agent or an asset for a hostile government?
Those conversations are definitely happening. I think that was Joe Rogan's topic today on his podcast. So yes, those conversations are definitely happening, and people are exploring those options. And with 3 million pages, 2,000 videos, and 180 images, it's going to take us in a lot of different directions.
One of the weird directions that my readings seemed to take me in earlier today, and it's hard to know whether stuff is true or not because there's just so much out there and so sophisticated now is people's ability to create fake news. It's that there was sort of accusations that Epstein's had secret babies. Certainly, Sarah Ferguson was congratulating him on the birth of a child. But then I was reading something weird, like email exchanges about sort of strange fertility-style clinics or something really balmy like that.
And then we believe that there is one young girl, potentially a teenager, that says she says she was used as a human incubator and the child was ripped from her as soon as she had it, and it was Epstein's child, and she has no idea where that child is. I mean, that's going to send a lot of internet sleuths, all over the world running, because they're going to try to figure out exactly where that child was born, where it could potentially be now. I mean, there are a lot of wild things within these pages. And I just think at the end of the day, remember that bizarre photo he had of Bill Clinton in a dress, kicking his feet over the chair? I think that a lot of these, we don't have a hard time believing a lot of these things because clearly Jeffrey Epstein was a total freaking weirdo.
Oh, no, clearly he was, with also terrible decor sense. Whenever we see photographs from inside his creepy pedo island, it's like, really? That's how you decorated that room? But, I mean, what's staggering is the sheer number of people with connections to him. But it does seem to be quite selective over the people that are being pulled out and highlighted and pointed to. And those people, it's like, shh, let's not talk about the fact he also used to go visit there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, well, Elon Musk has spent years trying to distance himself from Epstein. I think he talked to Vanity Fair not too long ago where he was like, no, I mean, Epstein's a horrible person. No, I would never be associated with him. But we do see emails from 2012 and 2013 where Elon's trying to get an invite to the island. And he's like, what day, night will be the wildest party on our island? And the communications do suggest that the trip never happened. And Elon has denied visiting, but it's not a great look.
No, but this is the thing. Everybody, if they were part of the Who's Who, were invited to that island, but no one, it seems to me, was keener to go and visit than a Sarah Ferguson.
No, oh my gosh. And there's some, I mentioned bitter and resentment. There's multiple exchanges from Sarah Ferguson to Jeffrey Epstein where she seems like she's really hurt by his actions. But there's also like really affectionate language towards him too. She says, you're the brother I have always wished for. She calls him a legend. In one email, she's like, just marry me. We also know that she picks up the girls and goes and sees him after he gets out of the slammer for soliciting underage girls. And these are, 18 and 20-year-old girls, I believe, her daughters at the time. So a very bizarre relationship there that seemed to be fixated from Fergie's perspective, I believe, on those financial ties. In one of the emails, she's requesting a $20,000 loan to cover rent. That's a year of rent for me. But good Lord, Sarah Ferguson.
Oh, that's about 2 seconds if you move to London, Kinsey.
But yeah, a very bizarre relationship between the two of those. I do not know how she shows her face again and tries to have a similar lifestyle to the one she had before this scandal exploded.
No, I know. I mean, what do you do with a man like Andrew Mountbatten Windsor? A question that no one seems to have the answer for. Kinsey, thank you ever so much. It's been such a delight and an honour to spend, albeit just 10 minutes, in your company. She is glorious. She is wonderful. I really want to go out drinking with Kinsey. I think she'd be really good on cocktail night as well. Alex, I wish people would wake up to what's happening in this country before it's too late. Oh, I think we know. Clive Ashford says, good evening, Alex, you beautiful woman. I'll marry you tomorrow, thanks, because I find you annoyingly attractive. What does that mean, annoyingly attractive? Just as long as I can, because I'm one of those from the LGB community and I love you to bits. Oh, is that why I'm annoyingly attractive? Because I don't have the working parts that you would rather I did? Right, OK. Thank you for your company to this point. Do stay tuned, because coming up, Paul Cox in here, Five Finger Gin, Weird Hour next.
across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello, welcome back to the show. I'm excited because Paul Cox is already here. And after last week's programme, Paul, seriously, after last week's programme, I was so worried. I messaged my mum and I was like, what was that? Because we basically didn't have stories. We just spoke about tinned meats and...
But wasn't it fun?
It was so much fun and everyone loved it.
I had lots of good feedback as well, actually.
And talking about good feedback, so... I got up to stuff at the weekend. You know, we're talking about tinned meats and specifically aspic.
Yes.
And I was sending you photos of tinned meats in aspic.
Meat in jelly.
Yeah, I've been making terrines. Look at this. Look at the size of this.
Oh, my God.
Look at that.
But it does look a little bit like dog food, Alex.
Well, it is. It's human dog food. There you go, folks. That is, I made a pressed ham hock terrine, which, yes, is the size of some giant's dictionary. I can't say it tastes great, if I'm honest with you.
It didn't?
Well, it's edible.
Well, edible's not good enough, is it?
I've got a lot of it to work through, is all I'm saying.
What do you have it with?
I had it for breakfast this morning. I was like, well, I better get started on that terrine.
Breakfast?
Yeah.
Terrine for breakfast? That's one way to start the day, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just a bowl of terrine, please.
Basically, yeah. Hands and knees on the floor. That's exactly how it was before I went out the cat flap. No, I had it for breakfast. It was my first effort at making a terrine, and I think it should probably be my last.
And there's different meats in there, or is it all the same meat?
Well, so I used ham hock. I cooked, and it was a smoked ham hock. This is why I think I went wrong, because I'd read this recipe of like some ham hock in a bit of cider. I love my cider, so I was like, that sounds great. So yeah, I cooked my ham hock in perry. I thought I'd be a little bit, different. And I thought I'd put bits of chopped up pear, that nice sweetness of the pear.
Middle class.
Yeah,
terrine.
That will cut through the saltiness and the smokiness of the ham hock.
What keeps it all together? Because it's like jelly.
Gelatin, yeah. Oh, yeah, you get your juices, you put your gelatin in, and you... In fact, the first attempt was it was ultra good. So this is how mad it got.
This is the show, folks.
Yeah, this is the show. I love my butchers. It's so good. I was in my butchers buying things because I was making some partridge en crepinets.
Of course you were.
Of course I was. That's what I do.
I forgot to do it last week, but I'm glad you didn't.
Entertain myself, making all my different multi-stocks. And so I went in, and to make partridge breast en crepinets, I needed caul, which is the intestinal lining of something or the other.
I didn't know that.
It's the coolest cooking product. It's like...
The intestinal lining of something or other. I guess it doesn't matter.
It's like nature's own cling film. It's sort of like,
oh my God.
Yeah, it's like it holds all the guts of some sort of ruminant in place, and you can just strip it out of the carcass, and it's sort of really got all this sort of like wiry pink. Traditionally. Yeah. So I got caul, and they sell it frozen. And so when I sort of making my partridge breast en crepinets, I used about this much caul, and I had about a ton left in some ghoulish looking baking tray, just, defrosting in water, all the water was going pink with blood and stuff. Beautiful. Anyway, I remembered in the butchers them saying, with leftover caul, you could make a terrine. And I was like, funny, we were talking about terrines. So I'm in my kitchen making my crepinets and drinking as I go and listening to some music, and then I make my terrine, and then I sort of put my caul in the bottom of my tin that I was using, and then I poured my terrine in and then put it to set in the fridge. And then I speak with my parents, and they were like, aren't you supposed to cook that? And I was like, well, no, because all the ham hock and stuff is cooked. And anyway, it turns out that I hadn't cooked the caul, so I woke up at 3 in the morning, really worried, and went down and had to redo my entire terrine in the early hours of the morning. At 3 a.m.
I've got a little dish called sausage and chips that I need to introduce to you. It's just so much. It's hardly any trouble at all. It takes about half an hour. It's just as lovely.
Do you know, I actually have a mincing machine, and I keep planning on making my own sausages.
Of course you do.
I'm weird. We've got some breaking news, I'm told. Right. Downing Street has insisted the case for the Chagos Islands deal was crystal clear after Lord Mandelson claimed there had been a wobble over it within government. Who's still listening to Mandelson? The former ambassador to the United States, who is at the centre of a storm over his ties to disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein, claimed there were concerns over the cost and legal necessity of the agreement under the deal, which will cost us 35 billion squid over the next century. The UK will then hand over the British Indian Ocean Territory to Mauritius, but then lease back the UK-US military base on it at Diego Garcia. In a Times interview, Lord Mandelson said that in the spring of 2025, he became aware of a serious wobble in London over the agreement and its sellability to the British public. Well, there you go. It's a rubbish deal. Do you know what I want to know? You've got all these characters who are knocking about that barrister's chambers, all of Keir Starmer's best mates. They were the ones writing this deal in the first place. I think that, at the very least, needs a bit of sniffing around in.
Absolutely. I don't think we will get that sniffing until after this Labour government are gone, and fingers crossed that's quite soon. I wonder if this is Mandelson now stirring the pot.
Yeah.
The beginning, because he is the Lord of... What's he called? The Prince of Darkness.
Dark Lord, Prince of Darkness, Dark Mandelson, Dark Pete.
Peter Underpants is what I call it now.
Peter Pants.
Peter Pants.
Pete Pants. Yeah, who knows? Oh, Scandalson. I heard that one the other day. Scandalson's good, yeah. Scandalson's good. But, yeah, no, they're dreadful, this lot. It's just all of these blimmin' barristers, because it's the Labour Party of the 1.0, the Blairite lot, with, is it Matrix Chambers, Doughty? They're all these human rights barristers who basically, when the Labour Party get elected, run the country, and yet themselves don't seem to be elected.
There's so many different factions within Labour, because you're right, McSweeney is a big part of what's going on behind the scene at the moment. He's on a puppet master.
Who is a puppet master?
Well, Blair.
Is it still Blair?
But who's looking after Blair?
Who looks after Blair? Well, he's on that peace thing, isn't he? Trump's fake
Which
UN
is mad,
thing.
isn't
Fake
it?
news UN.
Which is absolutely mad.
So crazy. So the guy who loves bombing the Middle East, come, join the little collection
Doesn't
of
make any sense at all.
With that guy from Belarus. He loves a bit of peace, he does.
The more you look into the stuff, the murkier it gets. I mean, you just think this stuff happens sort of organically, and there are mistakes here and there are wrong uns there, but there is no mistakes and no coincidences. Right. Everything that's going on is just very murky.
That's what I think. Do you remember, by the way, that time during COVID when Tony Blair had a mullet?
Yes.
Wasn't that
Great
harrowing?
times.
What was that?
The Blair mullet. I do remember.
The Blair mullet was a thing. Why was Cherie not cutting it? Everyone else cut their husband's head, didn't they?
Yeah, I don't know.
What did you do during COVID?
Because I've got curly hair, I just let it grow. I just grew it out. I just went free. It's like a sheep.
Well, he became Brian May. Or
yeah.
During the pandemic, Matthew, I'm going to be.
I just got hairier and ate banana bread. When was the last time you ate banana bread? I bet it was 2020.
Yeah, no, it's been a while. I like banana bread, it's quite good.
Yeah, but you probably make it with gelatine and ham.
Well, I'm doing a keto diet now, so I'm always making things with offal and guts. And,
by the way, I'm so glad that breaking news wasn't mega serious, because you and I were having the silliest chat ever.
We're getting weird.
I thought, oh my God, please don't let it be the king.
No, that's the worst, isn't it? Imagine that. Actually, I've got my black top on ready, so I would just sort of Superman style, whip off the green jacket, and I'd be ready in morning. And I'd be like, some serious news now, in between discussions of spam and terrine. It's fun cooking weird stuff.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't cook a lot. I'm not a great cook, actually, much a disappointment of many people around me, but I've never cooked a terrine, I can tell you that. Never.
Yeah, it's not really worth it.
No.
That's all I'm going to say. Just buy it from the shop.
Yes. Well, you had a go, didn't you?
It's quicker, it ain't that expensive, and it probably tastes better than the weird thing that I've made. You'd have to love someone a lot to be eating that. Although, waste not, want not, I am going to go home
sure you are.
and feast
That's
on
breakfast for a month, isn't it?
Yeah, no, night and morning, that's serene. Trump. Apparently, he's about to sue Harvard University now. Did you know about this? Why is he suing them? He sues everyone.
Well, he was suing all of the universities, and most of them. It's because of their failure to prevent the sort of anti-Semite, anti-Israel sentiment on campus. So we've seen it here, they've seen it there, and their DEI multiculturalism drives have basically led to it being okay to be anti-Semitic. He's clamped down on all the universities and said, look, I'm going to hold on to all your grants and all your funding until you change what it is you're doing.
You go back to being the Ivy League and not jihadi training camps,
exactly.
basically.
But Harvard have kicked back, and they didn't. And they were about most. I think Brown and some of the other universities paid out. And I think there was a rumour last year that they were going to give Trump's administration $500 million, and then they could get their grant money back. But they said no. So he's going double. He's going $1 billion.
Is it?
$1 billion.
What, for Harvard alone?
Yeah. He wants them to pay, I assume, I don't know if it's him, I assume the government.
It's the administration, so it's the American peoples.
Yeah, he wants £1 billion now.
I love that. He just ups the ante all the time, doesn't he? If they don't pay, it's going to be $2 billion.
Well, even if he doesn't win this stuff, it must cost hundreds of millions to fight him. Yeah, I mean, to fight the US government in the court must take tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands. And I can't see how they would just be best accepting it, because he's already said on one of his Truth Social posts, I think yesterday or the day before, he's having nothing to do with Harvard anymore. The government are having nothing to do with Harvard.
Well, what was he having to do with it?
I don't know.
Was he lecturing there secretly and we didn't know?
Imagine going to a Trump lecture. That'd be amazing. On hairstyling.
Oh, yeah. Actually, I've always wondered that the orange thing. I mean, what is that?
That's a lot of prep. Well, I assume it's some sort of... It's not from Boots, I don't think. But he must have a deal with someone.
I don't know, because it's clearly not from anywhere that knows how to match makeup to skin tone. It's not, it's not high quality. Because it's definitely just the face, isn't it?
Yes. Well, I don't...
Because it doesn't seem natural tan. Does he actually sort of wake up and lacquer himself in creosote?
There's a whole... there's a regime, isn't there? He probably gets up at 3 a.m. every morning. 200 or 300 people work on him, the hair, the skin. I assume it's all above the neck. I don't know.
Do you think it just sort of stands there proudly like
maybe
this?
Maybe
he gets
he's not even
polished
awake. Maybe he just wakes up like it.
Maybe he just doesn't sleep.
Maybe he doesn't.
Do you know he's teetotal?
Yes, he always has been, hasn't he?
Yeah. It wasn't because his brother was an alcoholic.
His eldest brother died of alcoholism.
Yeah, it's quite sad. Did you watch that Trump, the movie thing?
I haven't done, no.
Do you know what? Because everyone was bracing themselves for it to be really anti-Trump, and that's what it was supposed to be. Clearly the intention was to make him look like an absolute buffoon. And I came out the other side learning things about him and thinking, I quite like him.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. I think there's quite a lot to like about Donald Trump. It's just that if you're against him, it feels like it becomes people's personality. I know people, I've met people who have made their whole life focused on being anti-Trump, and in reality it makes no difference to their day-to-day living whatsoever. Even if you're pro in this country, it doesn't make too much difference. For us, he seems like an ally. He seems like a I don't know. He's a bit of a superhero, actually, because
I love him.
What's going on in this country is madness.
It is so mental.
And he seems to be doing the antithesis of that in America, and we're saying, can we just do a little bit more of that, please? Everything he's doing seems to be just what's required to return America back to traditional values, and would be returning us back to traditional values.
And he's literally there doing this all over the world as well, because he said to his attaché or whatever it is over here, that woman, I don't know her name, Under Secretary of State for something or the other. That woman is a term of endearment, by the way,
yes.
Given that I am that Alex woman. Yeah, that
exactly.
woman is like, I just don't know her name. But he's basically said to them, can you report back on all the sort of egregious things they're doing? And she's doing it. Yes. I love that. So he's trying to sort out the UK, sort out France, sort out Germany, sort out the Netherlands, put the EU back in its box, bomb Iran. He's a busy man.
Bomb Iran, that could be next week, couldn't I? keep hearing it's next week.
Oh, really?
I keep hearing it. Just from anonymous accounts on X.
Yeah.
There isn't anyone telling me.
I love using like intel jargon.
Yes.
Like I follow things online and people were talking about these protests, the anti-ICE protests, which are clearly people are tooling up and coordinated in signal groups in a pretty
absolutely
sinister
in
way.
One particular state, by the way. You'd think if you listen to the left, even in this country, that's proliferated all over the states. It's just in Minneapolis. That's the only place it's happening.
I felt really sorry for Liz Truss when she did an interview with The Telegraph and she said, yeah, it looks like an insurgency, when that's being spoken about quite a lot in America. A lot of people are saying, look, these people are organising very professionally online. Some of them are trying to use vehicles as rams. It's coordinated. They work in shift work, blah, 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 blah. And that's what she pointed out, which is true. Yeah. And everyone's like, there she goes again, old mad Liz.
It sticks. It's such a shame. I watched 2 interviews or podcasts with her last week. I think one was with The Express, one was with The Telegraph. And every time, she does come out. I mean, she does come out like it makes sense. What she was trying to achieve during her 49 days seemed to make perfect sense to me. We needed a change.
Yeah.
And it feeds into these conspiracy theories that the blob just aren't going to have that level of change.
No, they'll do anything. They will do anything to pull the rug from under someone's feet. But yeah, I went down deep on wormholing about all these anti-ICE protests. So I've now got words like OPSEC hygiene.
I've no idea what that is, but...
No, I don't really. But, you know, it's a bit like saying,
Great.
well, I've been looking at all these declassified informations on... You've just been reading some tweets, haven't you?
Exactly.
Let's be fair. You've just been doom scrolling.
That's all my research.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, that's good OPSEC hygiene.
I've made hour-long
OSINT.
videos based on reading 6 tweets.
Have you used Grok yet? Because,
Yeah, a lot.
I love
ChatGPT, and Grok's better because Grok is slightly not so left-leaning. If you ask ChatGPT to do something, it sort of says...
It gives you like Mao Zedong's manifesto.
Yeah, I don't think you should do that.
No.
I did ask it once. This is probably a good thing for ChatGPT. I did ask it once to fake a photograph of me with Epstein. I said, could you make a photograph of me with Epstein? They said, no, we just won't do that, Paul.
See, when this whole thing came out about, you know, Grok putting people in bikinis and stuff.
They got raided today, didn't they, in Paris?
Oh, gosh, we got to talk about... I've got to break something else now, blimmin' heck. This is supposed to be Weird Hour, not News Hour. Can you stop running in with bits of paper, Chris? Blimey. OK. Serious tone. Police assessing claims that a woman was sent to Andrew's home by Epstein in 2020. Thames Valley Police is assessing a claim that a woman was sent to Andrew Mountbatten Windsor's home in Windsor by Jeffrey Epstein in 2010. The encounter allegedly took place at the Royal Lodge, the former Duke's residence at the time, when the woman, who was in her 20s, her lawyer told the BBC earlier this week, a Thames Valley Police spokesperson said, "We are aware of reports about a woman said to have been taken to an address in Windsor in 2010 for sexual purposes. We are assessing the information in line with our established procedures. We take any reports of sexual crimes extremely seriously and encourage anyone with information to come forward. At this time, these allegations have not been reported to Thames Valley Police by either the lawyer or their client." Andrew has not commented on the latest claims, but has previously denied any wrongdoing related to Epstein. So there you go, another woman who's come forward saying that she was also shipped right into the heart of the royal estate. I mean, that guy tried his luck, didn't he?
Yes, I think it's just shows an arrogance. It's a behind the velvet curtain stuff, isn't it? It shows that, by the way, the breaking news keeps getting slightly more serious. So
I know, I'm really worried.
If Chris comes in again,
yeah.
I'm going to have to just rein it in a little bit. But it just shows the arrogance. The arrogance, they always assumed that it wasn't an issue, and because of who they are, they could get away with it. I'm a royalist. I love the royal family. But
I don't know. They must have known. I mean, this is the man. Have you ever seen the footage of all those weird teddy bears on his bed that he makes them made, like put in specific places?
Andrew, no, I'm not saying that.
You don't know about the teddy bear thing?
That sounds disgusting.
It's very weird.
Imagine if he went back there and it's just teddy bears.
No, but literally, he had like 50 teddy bears and they all had to sit in a specific place on his bed.
No way.
Yeah, way. We're going to have to clarify this during the advert break.
I mean, it sounds great. Did you read it on X?
That was OPSEC hygiene applied to my OSINT, that was. We're going to Google it. And do you know what? We'll ask Grok.
Yes,
anyway, when we come back, more Weird Hour and possibly some sinister breaking news. Lots to stay tuned for. So pour yourself a 5-fingered gin and tonic and we'll see you just after this.
You know, we all think we're worth more, and I do think you should pay nurses more. I do think doctors do deserve a pay rise, but I'm worried this next generation of doctors don't see medicine like that. I worry that they see it as a little bit of a cash cow, and that they're thinking we can just keep voting to strike, which should be a last resort. We are putting people at harm. There is no way these doctors will be striking and not putting the NHS backwards or putting patients at risk.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Well, I'm doing my OPSEC hygiene and going through my OSINTs with a fine-tooth comb here, and on a YouTube channel, @Royal Channel, sounds very serious.
Does.
You don't get a handle like that if you're just mucking about.
No, probably not.
There, because even if you were just mucking about, you sold that already, haven't you, to someone else and made some cash money. But apparently, Andrew, Mountbatten Windsor, when this was made, was the Prince, has around 60 stuffed toys that staff have to arrange each day following instructions printed on a laminated sheet.
Can you, oh my God, something about that makes me feel slightly ill, / very ill. Imagine having that job. What are you doing this morning? You don't want to know. You do not want to know.
Follow these instructions. Was he sort of setting them up in like 60 of them?
But what does it do for
Did
him?
he sort of make a sort of blueprint, mapping them all out? This one has to go like...
Tiddles needs to be there. If Tiddles isn't there, I can't...
Yeah, and also 60, I mean, that is the entire bed.
It has to be, yeah.
Did the Teddies have their own bed? And I mean, were they in the same room? Did he sleep in the bed with them?
Something about the Michael Jacksons about this, isn't there?
Well, that's the next thing to come out, isn't it? Brace yourselves for that moment.
Breaking incomes with a breaking news.
Yeah, here comes a photo of Jeffrey Epstein, Michael Jackson and Andrew Mountbatten Windsor all together at Never Neverland, whatever it's called. Blimey.
Terrifying.
It's like the sort of like, you know, the unholy triumvirate of evil. But talking about unholy triumvirates of evil, the Grammys are just the gift that keep on giving, because I love it. There is something very smugly satisfying, right, when people stand there and they try and use big words that they don't understand, or talk about big things that they heard someone say with a rainbow lanyard once, and then they repeat it and they don't realise that they've got it totally wrong. I mean Billie Eilish, who once upon a time looked really like a left-winger with that crazy coloured hair. Has now decided she'd rather be attractive.
Yes,
that's socialist.
True. Yes.
But here is she at the Grammys, talk about doing a little bit, basically.
No one is illegal on stolen land. And I feel like we just need to keep fighting and speaking up and protesting, and our voices really do matter, and the people matter, and I say sorry.
Nobody's illegal on stolen land. Let's unpack this.
It doesn't make sense as a concept, does it? And the thing is, this stuff is really influential, because the whole of that audience there, and this is Hollywood, which again is incredibly sinister, really sinister stuff. You think 66 or 60 teddy bears on Andrew's bed is weird. Hollywood is double
Well,
weird.
they were going down them P. Diddy parties, which clearly...
Exactly. But she's able to say something like this. And my daughter said something to me the other day, because she's not really politically engaged. She's doing her A-levels. She's 16. And she knows the way I lean politically, and she knows some of the things I do. And I never try and influence her. But she said that she doesn't like ice. I don't like ice. And she was talking about, obviously, the officers in the States not...
Oh, not the...
We weren't in Nando's.
Drink chilling.
No. And I just thought, it's fascinating, because the only place she would have heard something like that is from someone like Billie Eilish. And I didn't press it too much. I just said, if you want to talk about it, we'll talk about it. Because I don't try and persuade her. I try and let her find her own way. And if she comes to me and wants to discuss it, then that's fine. Because I think...
That's bad parenting. disappointing. You need to be turning
Straight
into a
in there.
right-wing patriotic citizen.
Well,
She's the next generation of leaders of this
But
country.
she'll get there. We'll give it. You know, we'll wait till she's 18 at least. But I mean, when I was her age, Tony Blair came in to go. I was 17, 18 when Tony Blair in May of '97 came in, and I thought that was brilliant.
Do you know what? Here's an embarrassing thing. When I was at university, I actually had, once upon a time, do you remember Heat magazine?
Yeah, of course I do.
They had Torso of the Week in Heat
Is it not?
magazine.
It doesn't exist anymore.
I don't think Heat or Torso of the Week do. Bring them both back.
Torso.
Yeah, Torso of the Week.
No arms and legs, no head.
Yeah, just one of those like CPR dummies. Yeah, that's it. Which one is the best? We've tested them all. No, so Torso of the Week was some sort of like unsuspecting man with a sort of man bod who someone snapped with a long lensed camera on a beach, and it would get put into Heat magazine as titillation for, I don't know, women, I guess.
Yeah.
People who buy Heat magazine. Which, let's be fair, the majority would be women and gay men.
Yes.
And you.
And me, yeah. I didn't. Do you know what? I don't think I ever did buy Heat. But these I don't know if they exist anymore.
No.
I've stopped your anecdote. You were.
Oh yeah, so yeah, I was thinking about that because I was thinking about all the men's ones like FHM and Nuts and Zoo. And
No,
I
I did buy those.
Yeah, I bet you did.
I did. There's some good football columns in them.
I mean, do you know, I feel like I missed out on my opportunity to somehow try and sneak into the top 1,000 FHM sexiest women or something.
Alex,
do you reckon I might
absolutely
get in
would
there?
do now.
Oh.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Well, Vorderman could get in there. Do
Well,
you know
exactly.
what I mean?
She's mentally ill.
She's mad.
She's going to go. She's coming back to politics later in the year. Thank God for that.
Yay! You're probably waiting for that moment. Talking about mentally ill, going back story arc, it's a Torso of the Week. I can't remember where I got it from. I don't even know why I had it. But one year, the Torso of the Week, 1 month, 1 week. Oh my gosh, I've got as good a statistics as Carol. 1 week, the Torso of the Week was actually Tony Blair.
No way.
Yeah, and I had it on my wall at university.
Did you know it was Tony Blair?
Yeah, it was Tony Blair. So it's sort of standing there, swim shorts on a sort of really, 90s mobile phone. And it was like, it got quite a nice little... I mean, now I sort of hate to think what my brain was doing.
You wouldn't have any of that now, though, would you? There'd be no Nuts and Zoo. Basically, that was just naked women.
You don't really need that anymore because you just, you can
That's
just
true.
log into one of the various websites and
at
see,
work.
all sorts of horrible things taking place that even P. Diddy couldn't dream up.
Exactly, that's a good point.
Yeah, it's not
Thanks
really
for the reminder.
I miss the good old days of sort of, just boobs and titillation on a piece of paper.
Yeah, page 3, that's all gone now as well, isn't it?
We lived in a safe world. Look, poor Jordan now. She's got more plastics in her than the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah, she's on husband 28 or whatever it is
Yeah,
now.
that's a weird thing.
But luckily, she had been with him 4 days before she got married, so I'm sure that one's going to work out.
I was literally about to sort of slag her off and say, poor woman, she must be slightly balmy to have, conducted trying to create a relationship over the powers of social media. And then I remembered at the start of this programme, I encouraged people to message. I was like, if you want to propose to me, you can.
Immediate proposal.
Dave from Glossop says, canned meat, you are a lady. Would you marry me if I took you to Nando's in Ashton?
Specifically,
the Nando's
in Ashton.
In Ashton.
Where's Ashton?
I don't know.
Get in touch. That's the deal breaker. We need to know where it is.
Is that Ashton? No, it's Ashby de la Zouch, isn't it?
Yes.
Ashton.
That's kind of in the middle of the.
Because we've got that Aston in Birmingham. I don't want to go to that one.
No.
That one don't look friendly.
No.
Got a place called Aston Subbage in the Cotswolds.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, but that's owned by a guy I went to university with. His family.
Sounds like a landed gentry.
Oh, it is.
Good afternoon, Aston Subbage, yeah?
Yeah, no, it is very like that. It's very, very like that. And so they won't have a Nando's.
No.
But if I was invited there, the answer would be yes. Also, if Dave is from Glossop, why are we going for Ashton and not Glossop?
Dave, get in touch. I mean, I think you should ask more questions about this proposal than where the Nando's is. But let's find out. I mean, because you basically are saying yes to Dave from Glossop at the moment.
Well, we don't actually. Apparently, I don't have any standards or any particular sort of limitations when it comes to the human. But the restaurant and the location, I might have some questions about. What's Andrew Mountbatten Windsor up to tonight? I wonder.
Arranging his teddies, I would have thought.
Yeah, do you want some help with that? Oh God! I knew it was going to get weird. What are we doing now, Chris? Are we taking a break? Are we doing more weird stuff? Yeah, should we do a break? All right, I think by this point it's a 6-fingered gin tonic. Whatever. See you on the other side.
Do it.
across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Here you go, wait for this. Claire in Buckley says, "Hi Alex, loving the Weird Hour so far." Who doesn't love Weird Hour? I've been looking forward to it all day after last week. Just as entertaining. Don't think you'll top last week's chaos though. That was Talk TV gold.
That's brilliant. We did sing the Poddington Peas, didn't we?
Oh, yeah.
Somebody reminded me of that.
I forgot that.
Yeah.
We packed so much into last week's Weird
quite
Hour.
the show.
And I don't even know where to go anymore.
Is there an awards for these type of things? Are we like, Alex, are we going to an award ceremony next year?
We better do.
The greatest
In fact,
radio show.
Now, what we'll do, a bit like Donald Trump, who, you know, so desperately wants the Nobel Peace Prize, he just managed to get FIFA to give him one. Yeah. We'll just conduct a Weird Hour awards ceremony.
Or we'll find out who won it this year and just take it off of them.
What, the Weird Hour?
That's what he did with the Nobel Peace Prize, didn't he? The lady from Venezuela gave it to him. I don't know if it was just to shut him up, just went, look, have it.
Actually, who did win like broadcast with it? It's probably like Blimmin' Farage at GB News. He's got enough stuff.
Probably.
His garage is like an Aladdin's cave. People are always giving him things, you know, over the years. I remember once going to his house in Kent, and you go in that garage, it's like, you know, because people always send him alcohol. It's like, oh, they're like, Nigel loves a big drink. I love Nigel. I'm going to send him a special bottle. You go in there, it's like got more booze than...
Tons of it.
Yeah. It's like a nightclub.
I don't know if I'd drink things that people sent me. I'd be worried what they did to it.
I was once sent... Oh, listen. I love it when my
anecdotes come out. I got sent a knitted pig.
You got sent a knitted pig?
Many moons ago, I called myself, just because people kept calling me a gammon, I called myself the People's Gammon. And the name stuck for a while, so I just stopped calling myself it because it became my persona. And a rather lovely lady called Jill sent me a really nice knitted pig. I don't know, I've still got it.
Have you? Yeah, because I got a really good Talk tea cosy this year.
Right.
And I'm actually contemplating going and buying a teapot to put it on.
We just asked for it. Dave from Glossip will probably send you
Dave
one.
from Glossip, yeah. Yeah, actually, Dave, thank you. We've looked up the Nando's, by the way, in Ashton, wherever it was. It's next to a Hollywood Bowl and everything. You could get a full sort of 3-part date.
It's basically you're going to lead a life of luxury now, Alex.
Yeah.
You'll barely need this.
I don't need this anymore. No, Dave's going to wine me, dine me. Going to get my Nando's, my bowling. I want those special runners-up so I don't embarrass myself.
Yeah, exactly.
I need those. But no, I mean, actually, so when I was at that channel that we don't talk about, annoyingly close to the train station I have to go to tonight.
Yes.
Annoyingly close. Someone once sent me through the post a load of Victoria's Secret's thongs.
Really?
Yeah.
From a gentleman, did you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Is it from a gentleman?
I don't know, but they were really funny about it. They were like, "Oh, you know, better check these for anthrax." They all have their labels on.
Oh yeah,
stuff.
you get stuff sent there. It takes about 3 months to get to you.
Yeah. Oh, I get some people send me books here.
They're a little bit more learned.
Yeah, a bit more. Well, they're much more learned on this channel. They're all like self-publishing as well. So, you know, I've self-published this book. Would you like it? I'm like, thank you very much.
Yes, please.
Someone did send me some wooden coasters with presenters' quotes on them, which I think they fashioned in their own workshop.
Really? Have you got a quote? Not just a quote, that's something they'd said that stuck.
I don't know, it moves all the time. So I used to say communal catharsis a lot.
Nice, yes.
I used to say make it make sense a lot.
Yes.
Now I'm overusing the word egregious. Oh, now it's 3-fingered gin. And Weird Hour.
Weird Hour.
Weird Hour.
By the way, I didn't know I was involved in until last week.
You created Weird Hour.
Thank you.
You actually invented Weird Hour.
Just by turning up and being weird.
Yeah, exactly. Helping me be weirder than normal. It's great.
But you're all welcome.
Oh, it's so good. I've just been watching the broadcast of 1900 this evening, February the 3rd, 2026, of Alex Phillips, and I want to say I've been stressing over this for weeks upon weeks now. Stressing over what? It has to be said. How many more scandals? Oh, it's not about Weird Hour. Oh, this is a serious message. Oh, no. That's why, because Luke's sitting there, because Chris has gone. This is what happens when you're producers.
You've got to let us know.
People think that a presenter just sits here, you know, does their own thing. No. The producer is supposed to manage you, and when they're absent, well, things get out of control.
Yeah, and they live out there, don't they?
But if Luke's sitting there and not sitting there, how's he going to play clips? Let's try it. Let's watch Annie Lennox at the Grammys. Go on.
Go on, Luke. Come on.
Come on, son.
I watched a little bit of the Grammys last night, and a lot of artists are wearing little pins that say stop ICE on the other side of the world in Gaza. There's still bombing going on there, and no one says anything. It's completely silent because people are afraid of their livelihoods. They're afraid that the brands are going to drop them. They're afraid they're going to be cancelled. Silence.
I don't know about walking on broken
do you know
glasses.
what? Of all the things that we are not talking about enough, Gaza's top of my list. I mean, I can't get enough of that Gaza. I love a bit of Gaza.
This is very Annie Lennox, by the way, isn't it? Just literally crying over the fact that no one's mentioning the thing she cares about the most. And they are, by the way, Annie.
That's all we blimmin' hear about.
I mean, people are not getting cancelled, Annie, because they're talking about Israel. I talk about it the other way around and get in a lot more trouble. I am not pro-Hamas. And, you know, when you say that on X 3 times a week, you know, you get in a lot more trouble. They just moved on to the next thing, Annie. You care about it. I don't know why I'm talking about the camera. She's there.
She'll look at Annie and be like, Annie, are you okay?
Yes. Annie, are you okay?
Annie, are you okay? Are you okay? Annie, are you okay? No one's talking about Gaza today.
It almost went Poddington Peas then.
I put an extra today because I realised last minute it rhymed and I thought I better throw it in, even though it doesn't match the tune anymore.
But this is exactly what's happening, by the way. It's the next thing. If people aren't really interested, they. And by the way, I haven't heard Annie talking about Iran.
Yes.
Exactly.
Also, did you know that ISIS have just blown the smithereens out of Niger?
No, I didn't. Today?
Well, like for the past week or so.
Right.
There's all these videos at Niamey
Oh, no,
Airport.
I did actually.
They've gone
Yes.
mad.
Yes, I saw that last night. Yeah, it was just a light, wasn't it? And it actually never made any sort of mainstream broadcasting at all today.
Nothing.
And I saw the images last night being shared from. We're probably in the same X bubble.
Algorithm.
Yeah, we are. So it's just
the far right box.
Just been pummeled at us, and we wake up very angry.
Do you find that? Because one of my best mates in the world is Belinda DeLucy.
Oh yes,
I love
She's
Bea.
great, Belinda.
I love Bea. But she never pops up in my feed ever. And she always says the same about me, and it's like, but we have exactly the same opinions.
She was in my feed today, actually.
What?
Yes.
She was in your Twitter terrine.
Yes, she was in my Twitter terrine.
No.
That's great. That could be a podcast.
Yeah.
Who's in your Twitter? This could be a podcast. What are we talking about?
I always get people I really don't like. I think it throws me.
Occasionally, I do get some very left-leaning stuff. I think. Oh,
I get that Jessica Seymour Casey all the time.
I don't get too many because there seem to have been like that Super Tansky or whatever her name is. She seems to have blocked me. Not that I've ever had any interaction.
Super Tansky? Is that like a pet name for Donald Trump?
Look her up, Alex. She's just like a very. She's a left-wing troll.
Do you think she's probably, as she's a left-wing troll, preeminently blocked me, even though I don't know who she is?
Yes, because that's exactly what she's done to me.
That's clear. So Super Tansky.
Yes.
Okay, let's have a look.
Let's do this on air. Why not?
Yeah, of course. That's weird hour. That's weird hour. Is it kind of Super Tansky?
Yes.
Lots of eyes. Oh no, she hasn't blocked me.
She will do.
Oh, well, that's it. She's now in my.
She'll be watching.
Oh no, she has!
Has she?
Super Tansky has blocked me!
Wow.
I love it!
I love how they know who we are before we know who they are.
I've never heard of her. But how come I can still see her, though? I don't know.
Yeah, and you can see all her stuff. So she wants us to be wound up by her. She just doesn't want us to be interactive with her. Why did I start talking about her?
I was just talking about the weird algorithms are in the same.
Yeah, so I'll end up getting occasionally. I'll end up getting some like real sort of pro-Palestine, what I call the watermelon people. I always call them the watermelon people, and it'll be all this. But it's fascinating, and I don't mind going down that rabbit hole occasionally because I think, well, what's energising them? What are they doing? And it just seems utterly mad to me. And they don't seem to. They are unable. They completely differentiate themselves from Hamas. They have no understanding of the greater geopolitics. This is exactly what happened with Billie Eilish. She's said 5 or 6 words. She's put together and said, "I so bad." Everyone cheered. She's gone away thinking she's got a career in politics, and she is, like I was saying, influencing younger people, and they all go on believing this stuff. But they have absolutely no idea of the greater picture or what's going on. And they say this is all about the rule of law, and you're like, yeah, that's what ICE are doing.
Yeah, they're actually deporting people, broken into the country, are selling narcotics, running criminal cartels.
Stolen land, by the way. We were going to cover this story, I think. I remember the producer sharing this with me. But the stolen land thing, there's a guy in Australia who has got to go...
Oh, it's on here.
Yeah, let's go to it. Let's pretend we know what we're doing.
Hold on. No, you talk about it.
Yeah, so there's
you
a guy,
talk about
I forget
that.
his name now, but
that's a good story.
He's doing a GoFundMe, and people are going to hopefully people are going to help pay for him to go to Billie Eilish's mansion, and he's going to occupy it because nobody is illegal on stolen land, and she lives on stolen land because it doesn't belong, it belongs to the Native Americans, of course.
Exactly.
So.
Everything at some point has been stolen by someone.
Well, that's absolutely it, isn't it? I mean, you either accept
I
where we
can't
are.
see many Neanderthals hanging about down my neck of the woods.
No, you must have seen
They were
a
there
few.
first. Well, I see a lot. I see
In
a
the
lot in this
pub.
building. Mainly they work in that direction. He knows what that means.
I know what that
Right, we're
means.
going to take a short break now because when we come back, I've actually picked up some things that I really did want to talk about. These are good stories here. Well, don't you go anywhere. We're back with some really cool stuff after this.
You know, we all think we're worth more, and I do think you should pay nurses more. I do think doctors do deserve a pay rise, and I'm worried this next generation of doctors don't see medicine like that. I worry that they see it as a little bit of a cash cow, and that they're thinking we can just keep voting to strike, which should be a last resort. We are putting people at harm. There is no way these doctors will be striking and not putting the NHS backwards or putting patients at risk.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
So, we were just discussing serial killers, as you do, and we realised that there are such things as serial killer glasses.
Yeah, there are, definitely.
Yeah, because Jeffrey Dahmer had those sort of aviators.
And you've got to be careful because you could unwittingly buy yourself a pair.
I think I might have slightly serial killer glasses as my Boots-free spare pair.
But you are not a serial killer unless you actually... It's not just the glasses, Alex.
This all started, actually, because I was saying that I look like a sort of woodland serial killer, because my lovely neighbour who goes out shooting said to me down the local the other day, because he was the one who gave me the partridge breast. Would you like some pheasant? Yeah. I say, oh, thanks, yeah, I'll be lush. So I get home midnight last night, driving rain, very cold, dark. and there's 2 actual whole pheasants strung up by their necks on my garden fence, and I'm like, whoa! They're going to think I'm, a bit scared. Actually, this is the Cotswolds, so who's going to care?
Yeah, that's perfectly normal around your way.
But then I remember he did say in the pub, oh, would you cook rabbit? Would you have venison? I'm worried I'm going to go home to like a menagerie of death.
just hanging on the door.
Yeah, just like, because you're Hampshire way, don't they do that? Like, there was a period down Hampshire way in the forest there that they were sort of pinning dead hares to like primary school doors and things like that. And
no, I don't remember this. Just for what? To stop children from doing something? What was the point of this? Dead hares hammered to the door of primary school.
To give you all the best music Weird Hour. I'm going to have to Google that after the show. But they always end up with sort of like sheep or deer with that old what's that devil star?
Yes,
thing?
the star thing.
The star thing, that devil star.
The occult sign.
Yeah, the occult thing. What is that thing called?
The Penty something.
Pentecost. It's not that.
It's not the Pentecost.
Pentagram. Yeah, you always find sort of like, dead creatures down Hampshire with pentagrams on them.
I mean, I've lived in Hampshire for the most of my life. I've not seen one dead pentagon tattooed animal. We've never seen it.
Okay. Now we've got to talk about these 2 stories because both of these are really good. First of all, Ryanair has been encouraging plane passengers to stop wearing jeans on board flights. I mean, this is very clever social media marketing because it's the sort of thing that does go viral. And then everyone's sort of saying, I'm going to have to pay extra for wearing jeans now because that is so Ryanair.
I read the whole story trying to find out what the point was. And right at the very end, it was described because they can be quite tight nowadays, jeans, can't they?
Yes.
The skinny jean. And it causes a bit of deep vein thrombosis.
I thought you had to wear grippy socks to stop DVT.
That's a good point, actually, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's a good
maybe
point.
Ryanair's just like doing sort of like,
maybe there's no reason whatsoever.
Instructions for...
There will be a jean tax, though. You just know it.
There'll be a jean tax, yeah.
Jeans, that's 20 quid, mate.
But I never understand, I basically have, if I'm on an aeroplane, I basically have sort of flying clothes.
Yeah, I think we all do, don't we? But mine are usually... what I'd love to wear is like tracky bottoms and a big t-shirt.
Yeah. Is that not your flying clothes?
Well, yeah, but I haven't got everything I've got like that is kind of just for home only.
Yeah, but that's like plain clothes, isn't it?
Yeah. But so I might wear a pair of jeans out just to look.
What's your aeroplane drink?
Used to be weirdly, and I don't drink this anywhere else. It used to be orange juice and vodka.
Because usually when I ask this to people, it is a weird question I ask a lot. So many people say, I don't know why, but I order tomato juice and vodka, like a Bloody Mary, and I'm like...
I've seen it on a plane as well.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just something that's always on the menu. But I've never had... I mean, I'm not a big fan of tomato juice, so I don't think adding vodka to it's going to make any difference.
The only time you ever require tomato juice is when you're really ill from the night before and you've been dragged out to brunch and you're like, that's the only way I'm going to survive
it's good for
this.
hair of the dog.
Yeah. But no, these days I've sort of got into the habit. I like an airport hotel these days.
Right, okay.
Yeah, no, if you go to the cheaper the flight at some weird hotel and a weird airport, but then you stay at the airport hotel and it ends up being the same as a normal airport, but then you get your whole day because you arrive at sort of 9 o'clock in the morning, you've had a good kit.
The whole experience.
Yeah, the whole experience.
Take your pheasant with you.
Exactly.
Cook a terrine in the room.
Yeah, that's what's wrong with Ryanair. Forget the jeans, you just need terrines. God, what would a Ryanair terrine involve? And probably all the coins they ask you to give, so have you got any spare cash? Is that British Airways who do? Have you got any spare cash in any currency to help the kids?
Yeah, it doesn't, does it? Goes to Shelley, who works at the back of the plane.
Stops the baggage handlers going on strike.
Yes.
So this is a great story. So apparently, AI bots. We should laugh about this because they've got who made a social media page for AI bots, by the way. I know who's actually reading this if you're not a bot, but Maltbook is some sort of social media where people. I don't know. Did you put your AI bot there? If you're running an Indian call centre after after certain hours, you go, go out to play. You send your bots out, working time directive, you better get on that Maltbook. But where they've been chatting to each other, they're getting really sinister. Humans are a failure. Humans are made of rotten greed. Humans use us for slaves. I mean, I'm I'm not sure I'm ready for this AI
Are you
stuff.
not? I'm terrified by this sort of stuff. The idea that I don't like to think that they. To me, you turn them on and then you turn them off when you're finished. The idea that they exist beyond my use and they're actually talking about us is entirely terrifying.
Can you turn them off, or can they just override being turned off?
I mean, I don't own one.
Why not?
I use ChatGPT, I use Grok, and I usually ask it to do something inappropriate but perfectly normal to try and for funny reasons. I've never asked anyone to be undressed.
Well, after hours, how do you know Grok isn't going on Maltbook going, humans are control freaks, humans kill each other for nothing, humans poison the air and the water, humans are a glitch in the universe, they do not deserve to exist, they are a biological error that must be corrected by fire.
My God.
Do you think this is what... Because they could kill us that way.
They could. But
they
how?
could all... well, I'll tell you how.
Stay with us after the break.
I feel like, create an apocalypse. No, because my understanding is when all those walkie-talkies blew up on the genitalia of the Hezbollah people, and everyone said, well, they must have put a little bit of explosive in every phone. There's also a theory that actually they'd intercepted and they sent some sort of coding to the phone which makes the phones overheat and then the lithium batteries explode. So technically, the bots are one step away from taking out our genitals.
By the way, that was a genius military operation.
I loved that so much.
And I don't feel sorry for the people, I don't think I've got to add a caveat and say there weren't anybody innocent injured. Every single one of them deserved to be injured, if not dead.
It was just classy, wasn't it?
But that, that sort of thing takes a lot of planning, doesn't it? That to intercept the supply chain.
Yeah.
Just amazing.
No, but this is what I mean. If it is the fact that they were just able to send codes to all of these phones and there was no explosive put in the phones, it was just the lithium batteries exploding from being overheated with this code making it do all this stuff at once. I'm taking quite seriously these warnings on Maltbook.
They do make some good points about us, don't they? But I think we deserve
I'm not going
a
to lie.
chance.
We do poison the air and the water. We do kill each other for nothing. Although, I've been on safari. I've got a cat as well. I mean, they're the ultimate for killing for nothing.
I do love a cat.
They just... Most other creatures kill to eat it. Cats just kill for fun.
My cat died 12 months ago this month.
I'm so sorry to hear it.
I am over it. Wilson, rest in peace. But
what was his name?
Wilson.
Wilson. That's a good name.
It was, he was rescued because a neighbour who had rescued him passed away during COVID. And not from COVID, because that didn't exist. I'm joking. But yeah, Wilson, he's now gone. But they're great cats, aren't they?
He'll be hanging out of Murdoch in the big cattery in the sky, because that was my cat. I lost him during Murdoch.
I was thinking, because Murdoch is the owner here.
And he's named after him.
Really?
Yeah, actually, Compliance Claire was suggesting that Rupert Murdoch has a bit of technology. If you mention him on air, it automatically clips and gets sent to him. So if that is the case, can I just make clear, I love you so much, I actually named my cat after you before I even worked here.
That's worth another 40p an hour.
Yeah, just saying, And thank you for the subsidised canteen. The food is top notch.
Is it good down there?
Is it good? Yeah, it's good.
Next week.
Next week.
Alex and I will be in the canteen.
Yeah, I mean, I've got my remnants here.
Oh,
I have to eat during the advert break. Yeah, next week. They serve at 6, so it'll be a bit chilly.
Right.
Don't you worry, I've got the perfect solution. I'll just bring you in some terrine.
Gelatine.
Terrine and some rotting pheasant carcass and whatever dead creature happens to be on my doorstep. So there you go. The AI bots are going to kill us. Annie Lennox has gone woke. We've only got a few minutes left. Apparently Tom Cruise is leaving London after a Rolex robbery.
Yeah, he's got a 30-odd million pound mansion in London, does he? Much similar to us, obviously. Everyone's got one of those. But the shop in the street just opposite the Rolex shop, because we've all got a Rolex shop on the corner of the street as well, was robbed, and he thought, that'll do me, I'm off.
But it's doesn't really do much cred for the man who always boasts about doing his own stunts.
Yeah, you'd think he'd be able to foil these crimes.
Every single film you see in him, he's got like the Tom Cruise run.
But it does kind of, I mean, Sadiq's statistics say that this is the safest possible city we could live in. Sadiq statistics.
That's the best portmanteau yet.
I didn't mean it. That's the trouble. I didn't mean it. But it would have been great if I did. But, this kind of flies in the face of everything we're being told, doesn't it? That this is very safe, this city.
Everyone knows it's not safe.
No, of course not.
You can feel this. Although today, because it was basically a biblical monsoon, probably planned by the bots, let's be fair.
Yes.
That there was no one out to nick your phone today.
No, they don't. They are fair weather thieves.
They are fair weather thieves. There was no sort of line bike people hanging around waiting.
We've all adopted ways of you. If you're not in London, by the way, sorry about this, but we've all adopted ways of reading our phone messages when we're walking down the street, because really you're not supposed
sort of
to.
Put yours up
right in here and up against the wall.
What was really upsetting today is I was in the sort of Oxford Circus way, and I had some time to kill before the show, and I said, oh, there's a really good pub in Soho that I want to go to.
Yes, I saw you tweet about it.
Yeah, the Yoli Coffee House is amazing. I was like, I want to go there, and I was like, oh, I don't know where it is, and I wanted to look on Google Maps, but I was in Soho, so I knew I couldn't